Good morning.
You know what? You know what? You know what? It is a good morning. It's a great morning. It's a great day. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, welcome in. It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. Hello to you, and how do you do, Upstate South Carolina? Hello, America.
Don't kill your voice, man. The mic is processed differently, so it's going to take some adjustment.
No, it's a combination of
That
guess who forgot to go buy new headphones yesterday? So he's over here adjusting this wire until he finds the perfect spot once again. And shocker, I haven't yet. So that sucks a lot. And the fact that yesterday your boy went real hard in the paint for a game 6 with the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, who unfortunately were on the wrong end of a very nasty 5-1 scoreline and have been eliminated from the ECHL Kelly Cup playoffs. Good run, good job, good effort. All good things must come to an end. You know how the game gets played. That's sports, dudes and dudettes. It's sometimes ugly. It's not always fun. And last night, only one team can lift a cup, man. Only one team can get that smoke. Only one team can get that dub. And it is what it is, man. It kind of sucks. Stings a little bit. Boys went hard last night, gave it what they gave it. But when it came down to
you're not
just better.
You're not making it through this, are you? That's you're sounding rough, dude.
I'm a little hoarse. You know what? But here's the thing. I have said time and time and time and time and time and time again. I believe in local sports. Local sports are important. And if what I can give to local sports is showing up, yelling, losing my voice for a day, it's not even loss. It's just hoarse, Like, I'm good. But if all
you know what you could do, you know what you can do now?
Use a different mic.
No. Well, other than that, you can now do that voice of the guy from Major League.
That's 2 wins, boys.
Sound just like him now.
That's 2 wins.
That's all you needed.
One more, they call that a streak. Every time we win, we remove a piece from the picture.
Trying to make a positive out of your current impediment, and it's
impediment.
It's going well.
You know what I still got? I still got gas. I still got juice. Can I tell you what I don't have? Rest. I got home from the game last night. It's the last game of the season, right? And that's a bit of a bummer. And so after the game was over, went upstairs to the office, spent a little time with the guys and the gals in the franchise, spent a little time with the folks up there with the bits that were, that put on such an incredible show for you guys all the time. And, just, hey, we had a good season. We had a good run. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. It is what it is, right? So went upstairs, spent a little time with them, hung out, whatever, and then didn't get home till, 10:35, 10:40 at night. The lady friend was still up way past her bedtime. She is usually not up that late, but she was still up way past her bedtime. And I was like, all right, it's going to spend some time with her. We don't get to spend a ton of time together, unfortunately. So I'll spend a little time with her. And then we went to bed. And then at like 2 o'clock, it was actually 2:35 this morning, I woke up, great one. I woke up and I realized that my usual 5 a.m. activity was a little early. Chamber was loaded a little bit earlier than I expected. And then it was such a disruptive moment that I was just awake at that point. 3 o'clock in the morning, I was just awake. And the thing is, I've been actually eating real good as of late. Lots of veggies, lots of what is it? Starch? No, fiber. Lots of fiber in the diet lately. And
so I'm asking for your grandma. So you're more regular now.
Holy crap.
Exactly.
Yeah. Holy crap, man. Last night at about 2:30 in the morning, I had a go of it, right? Like about 2:30 in the morning, I had a go of it. It was like, oh, no. This is happening now, dude. Like, it's not up to you. Get out of bed. You can get out of bed, or you and your fiance are going to have a much, much, much more difficult conversation to have in the morning. You can get up out of bed and take it to the porcelain throne right now, or you can wake her up in a very different way than you like to. Okay? So I did, and then it was one. You ever have one of those ones, though, that's like it's like a reinvigorating process, right?
Yes, I have.
It's
And
one of those ones that you're done, and you're like, all right, world, I'm ready.
Yes.
Okay, that. But at 2:45 in the morning, I have been up since 2:35 a.m. and at 2:45 a.m. I've been in this building since 4 o'clock this morning. I was here at 4 a.m. because at 3:15, like I went and laid back down. I'm like, all right, give me another hour of sleep. Nope, wide awake. Got up, got dressed, took the shower. I should say reverse that. Took the shower, got up, got dressed, and then came in about 4 a.m. So the show's going to be lit today. Show's going to be good. I got all the stuff to get to. Keon Coleman introduced himself to the Buffalo Bills yesterday, and it was absolutely magnificent. I loved it. So we're gonna play some of the audio from him yesterday because he was just absolutely spectacular. So I got that coming up for you. I want to talk a little bit about it. We've got the NBA playoffs from last night. Maxey was a dude last night. 7 points in 28 seconds as the Sixers extend the series back to Philly for a game 6, 3-2 now. On the flip side, Jalen Brunson, who's been a monster down the stretch. It was the only Knick, by the way, to score in the overtime period last night. Maybe cost his team a win with an absolute boneheaded play. So we're going to break that game down. Milwaukee, no Dame, no Giannis, no problemo, as they smoke the Pacers last night. Like it was not even a game. Chris Middleton. Yeah, that one. That guy. Chris Middleton was a monster last night. Drew Holiday. Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis Jr., who you will remember had plenty of rest because he got bounced from the last game for throwing a punch. He comes back last night. He's spectacular. The Bucks last night looked like a championship team, 115-92 winners over the Pacers. It was unbelievable. I want to talk about that series. We've got to get into the NHL because the bunch of jerks, you're my hour, Carolina Hurricanes are moving on. They have made their way past the New York Islanders, and as a reward, they get another series against the New York team. As a reward, they get a crack at the Rangers next. And I am honestly pretty jacked about that series. That's a 1-2 series. That's a chalk series. But I do think the Rangers have it in them to win the game. So we're going to talk about that later on in the radio broadcast. Hayden Ask Mario going to join us at 9 o'clock this morning to do two things. Number one, talk a little NBA playoffs. Number two, somehow end up joining forces with Lonzo to take me down for one reason or the next. We'll see. It's a couple hours away. We got time.
You deserve it.
I don't know what I did to, but he's going to agree with you on that. So we'll see. Talk NBA playoffs with Hayden Ask Mario.
We're unionized without being union. It's just
what it is.
It's a thing.
That's what it is.
Well, doubly. It's hair and executive producer.
That's true. Hybrid producer, executive hybrid producers. I think you referred to yourself as a hybrid yesterday. I liked it. I like it. executive hybrid producer, Mario, will join us on the show at 9 o'clock to talk NBA ball. We're going to talk a little bit about Spencer Rattler today because Adam Schefter had an interesting comment on him yesterday. We're going to talk a little bit about the selection of Michael Penix Jr. And I'm going to tell you right now that I love my guys, Diesel and Cole, my boys, my fellas, my colleagues, my comrades in arms. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Wire to Wire. I love that show. Airs 3 to 7 every day. I listen to it for no less than an hour every day. Yesterday, I was listening to it, and those two fellas had such a take that I have to respond to it. I just have to. I also think they made a mistake in their evaluation. They were ranking the quarterbacks, QB1s and QB2s, around the NFC South. And I would like to get into their rankings a little bit because they were, I love you, Diesel. I love you, Cole. Bad. They were real bad. They were way off base. So I'd like to get to that coming up later on in the radio broadcast. I would like to talk a little more NFL draft now that we have had 3 full days to reflect upon the selection process of players across the NFL. I would like to finish handing out grades of all those teams. I would like to get into a discussion about the teams that got, we talked earlier in the week about teams that got better, about teams that did not, about teams that, because to me, the concept of getting better is one thing. And I think it is important to be able to say that a team got better or a team did not get better. So I don't think any teams get worse during the draft, but I think teams can get better or can just hold the line. And to me, getting better is important, but making sure that you are keeping up with the other teams across the league, that might be more important, to be honest with you. And I want to evaluate some of the teams that did get better. And I want to talk about some of the teams that actually caught up to the competition. We have mentioned a couple already. Did the Buffalo Bills get better? Yeah, they did. Did they catch up with Kansas City? No, not really. You know what did get better? Monday Night Countdown. Because fat, bearded American Jason Kelsey is joining Monday Night Countdown. And I got to tell you, if you've listened to this show for any length of time, you know that I think that a lot of TV execs have gotten kind of lazy by just grabbing a guy who used to wear a helmet and putting him on TV. Jason Kelsey's not one of those cats.
All right. Are you not concerned a little bit because offensive linemen, when they retire from playing, a lot of them become tight ends because they lose so much weight?
Who's the Joe Thomas from Cleveland, who the first time I saw him on TV, I'm like, who's that guy? And my buddy Kellen, who's a Cleveland guy, he's like, it's Joe Thomas, dude. I'm like, no. That guy's skinny. That's not Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas was a big mauling son of a gun. That's not Joe Thomas. He's like, yeah, it is, bro.
Maybe I guess maybe unless Jason curbs his lifestyle, maybe that doesn't happen. But if he does, then suddenly we get skinny guy with a beard.
Please don't leave the ranks of sturdy boys. Jason, please. We need you, dog. We need you. I don't know how to tell you how much good you have done for the world of sturdy, bearded Americans. You have done so much good for me in my life. It was incredible the day that my fiance was like, yeah, I get it. He is kind of hot. And I was like, yes, if Kelsey's hot, I got a chance. Fat bearded Americans. The only thing that's different between me and him is skill, talent, motivation, and money. Outside of that, I got everything Jason Kelsey's got.
You don't have his eyebrows.
And eyebrows.
Yeah.
He does have good eyebrows.
Yeah, those are some powerful eyebrows.
They really are. They're very what's the word? Expressive. They're very expressive eyebrows. Good week for the Kelsey bros as a whole. TK just got a 2-year extension for $35 million that makes him the highest paid tight end in the history of the National Football League. I suspect that's a good part of the reason that he is elected to run it back one more time. I told Lonzo yesterday, I think that guy's going to come back until the Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl. I'm also going to tell you that we might go mini Fight Club later in the show because I have decided I'm taking the risk. I'm rolling the dice. And if they get number 3 because of it, I don't care. I finally watched Monday Night Raw. And yes, Patrick Mahomes is getting taken down today.
No.
Yes, he is.
No, he's
Sorry,
not.
bud.
You're a heel lover. How do you not love what he did? It's because of who he did it with. That's really what it comes down to.
Kind of.
I look forward to this.
Kind of.
Look forward to winning.
Kind of. Patrick Mahomes helped out Lonzo's favorite wrestler, Logan Paul. Gave him his Super Bowl ring.
He's not my favorite wrestler. My favorite wrestler is still John Moxley currently. So you would be wrong.
Lonzo's favorite
He don't even go there anymore.
And friend of Patrick Mahomes, Logan Paul, Patty gave him his 3 Super Bowl rings to throw a punch at Big Oos Jey Uso.
Come on. You're not happy with the results? Did you continue to watch?
No. You don't get off the hook for being an absolute pile and helping out Logan Paul.
Yeah, but he punched Jey
because the accident led to Jey Uso not getting hit.
No, well,
that's not going to do it. You not only gave help to Logan Paul, but you gave help to Logan Paul to take down my favorite Oos. What are we doing here, Patrick? You absolute heel. You absolute monster. As Pat McAfee would say, you son of a... What are you doing?
3-peat on the way. I'm looking forward to that.
You know what? I'm rolling the dice. I'm running the gambit. Go ahead, mark it down. We already did it once. I'll go ahead and set the promo up for you. Great one. It is May 1st, 2024. If the Super Bowl is won by the Kansas City Chiefs in 2025, and it's because of my disrespect, just remember, Patrick Mahomes, you helped Logan Paul. You deserve every bit of the heat that's coming your way, pal. Every bit of it.
Your voice isn't promo worthy today. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We got a show lined up for you today, kids. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, I would like to introduce you to maybe my second favorite wide receiver in the game, Keon Coleman, who's a dude. We'll set that up when we come back. Rob, Lonzo, you, the Rob Brown Show rolls on after this. It is the Fan Upstate.
Prize picks.
That's what I thought. All right, guys, live read. We're coming right back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. Brown Show live on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Let me introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, to former Michigan State wide receiver, turned Florida State wide receiver, and former Louisiana boy himself, which means that I don't think you're going to need a translator for Keon Coleman like you're going to need one for Xavier Legette, and I volunteer my services in that regard. But let me introduce you to Keon Coleman.
Oh,
Keon
I really know that.
That'll be great, man.
I love that guy.
That's not Keon Coleman, but he did say,
That's Xavier Legette.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like the bat signal. If you say it,
That'll be great, man.
So let me introduce you to my second favorite rookie wide receiver out of this draft class, Keon Coleman from Florida State University. Florida State last year, obviously national champions at 13-0, and Keon Coleman was a big part of the reason why. So Keon Coleman yesterday got introduced to his new team, to the Buffalo Bills, showed up at the facility for the very first time and got a tour of the facility from the staff. I'm gonna play you a couple of clips. They went up on the Instagram, posted Keon meeting a bunch of the guys, taking the tour of the facility, some of the highlights of it. Let me first play for you a clip that was taken on the car ride that Keon Coleman took from the airport to the Buffalo Bills facility, and just kind of set the mood. Keon Coleman in the car with one of his boys and one of the members of the Buffalo Bills organization taking a ride to the hotel.
Hey, I was at my hotel, my third visit. I asked the woman that they had a pool, so I could stretch, get a little workout in. I go downstairs, so I get lost looking for it. Guess what I find? An ice rink. I said, what am I supposed to do with that? An ice rink, like a hockey rink? But I'm gonna go skate for it. I don't ice skate. I've done that probably when I was 8 years old. I was looking for a pool, so I could get a little workout in. It's 30 visits. Man, she was like, a pool? I'm like, oh, bro, y'all don't have one. I'm like, dang. The last thing I was expecting was a hockey rink.
Keon Coleman in Buffalo, New York, absolutely shocked that there was a hockey rink instead of a pool. Absolutely shocked by that fact. But that wasn't the only thing that was going on. Keon Coleman, who, by the way, is going to need to get used to the cold.
Where you said he played in Michigan State.
He did.
He knows cold.
He did. And he said that in the past. Yet, when they brought Keon Coleman into the cryo room, the cryogenics room, for those of y'all that know, this has gotten really big in the last couple of years. Most players use an ice bath, right? After the game, they pop down to that big aluminum tub that's filled with ice water. You fully submerge. I don't know what it's supposed to do, because I'm going to tell you right now, there's no world in which Rob Brown's taking an ice bath. There's just not one. I don't care. It is supposed to rejuvenate you, make you feel like a new man. I did 2 New Year's Eves ago, I guess New Year's Days ago, I did a polar plunge.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've already jumped in so you know what that's like, except for you get to linger in the bath.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, a polar plunge on the beach in Charleston, South Carolina on New Year's Day is not nearly as cold as submerging yourself fully into a big bath of ice water. But a lot of guys use these cryo rooms. It is just a room that they pump quite literally freezing cold air into, and you stay in there. It's like that. It's like a reverse sauna. You go in there, it's supposed to rejuvenate you, shock your body into jump-starting the healing process. You're going to appreciate the crap out of this one, because I want you to listen. The cryo bath, by the way, because it's super cold air, when you open the door and that cold air mixes with the hot air or the room temperature outside, it creates a fog. And listen to where Keon Coleman goes with it.
What you going there with your boxes?
Yeah, usually we'll put like gloves on. It's not bad. Step in this one.
It's not cold.
This one's a cold chaser.
Hey, boy, that's enough to freeze my pants, boy. We trying to go roll in the snow too? Boy, I just made a great. I feel like cut the lights off. I feel like the Undertaker. Let's do it again. we got to reshoot that. We got to put his music on. This ain't John Cena. This is Undertaker right here. Watch all the smoke come out of here. This how the pre-drive be. Ah!
My man put on a full WWE entrance out of the cryo room with the fog pouring right around him. Here's the best part. The door's got one of those frosted glass panels on it, and he went and turned on the light. So when he walked up to the door, through the frosted window pane was his silhouette in a dark room backlit by white. He opened the door. Actually, he had one of the Bills guys open the door for him, and he came out flexed like the Undertaker. The only thing that was disappointing about it was that Lonzo added the gong or the church bell, not the staff. They were playing like piano funeral music, like I do sarcastically every time.
Yeah, I thought you added that because that sounded
Nope.
like it's the same music.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's what I play. But somebody from the Bills staff played that instead of the Undertaker's theme. He didn't care. He came out like it was WrestleMania. And he saw smoke and a bright light and instantly went, yo, this is like the Undertaker. Let me get that gong.
Wait. So you're saying someone who is now a multimillionaire and going to play for the Buffalo Bills is a wrestling fan?
Noted real man Keon Coleman immediately went, yo, it's like the Undertaker. Let me get the Undertaker's music, and walked out to it. And set up his whole ass entrance.
And that guy used to play in Michigan. I find that funny for some reason.
Michigan State.
You're missing the point.
Keon Coleman, you will remember we played the audio for you from his introductory press conference where he had that yellow jacket.
See, Rob, Mark Ryan,
I got it now.
who doesn't like
wrestling,
lives in Michigan now. So that's what the joke was.
Keon Coleman, by the way, Louisiana boy. All right, I'm just saying. So, Keon Coleman, you remember the yellow jacket he wore at his introductory press conference?
Yeah, he has several different colors. He said he was going back to get some more.
Back and get more.
Yeah.
Because he pointed out, I got.
No. He said he had a red one and another color, and he was going back to get another.
I thought he said he had to go get more. Either way,
no, he had to get more, but he had multiple already.
Either way, my man was very, very proud of his Macy's jacket that he got for $89.79 and was going back to get more, and the trench coat for $100 that he got so he could rock the suit. You want to know what he did when he showed up to the Bills facility? His very first conversation with the management and the administration and the staff. What's the first thing he talked about?
I'm going to guess he asked where Macy's is.
You know how much this jacket is?
No, I don't want to know.
$80. It's Macy's. I ain't taking that off.
$80?
Yeah, Macy's on sale.
That's actually pretty good deal. I thought it'd be a little more.
That's guess. But you ain't guessing. You know the answer. You ain't gonna get it right, but you can guess. Huh? On the jacket?
Yeah, what you got?
79 and 89 cents. Macy's on sale. I'll go to the mall as soon as I get here. Trench coat, $100. I was like, what? Let me get two of them. Never worn, but I got them though. I wore them one day with the suit. I had to be Samuel L. Jackson. That's all I kept doing was that. I thought I was in a movie. I thought I was important.
This dude's great, man. This dude's great. When he was talking about the trench coat, he turned around to the dude and he goes, I felt like Samuel L. Jackson. I kept doing this, and he flipped the jacket back and pulled the Matrix guns out. That was great.
I'm just curious, where's Josh Allen? Because Josh Allen should be there with him all the time, just opening the door for him and all that kind of. Did Josh Allen reach out to him? I haven't heard a story that he has.
Leave it to Lonzo to take this fun, enlightening segment to an opportunity to bash.
How in the world could if it was another quarterback, we'd be hearing about how he didn't reach out to his new receiver, this very awesome dude, and no Josh Allen anyway.
Leave it to the great one to take a fun comedic early AM segment and find an opportunity. Josh Allen's a babyface now. He's a babyface. Your guy's the heel. JA's the babyface.
So
I'm team babyface now.
No, you're not.
Keon Coleman.
Okay, we'll see.
Because Patrick Mahomes helped Logan Paul, and this is Keon Coleman. By the way, and I will give you the one that set me off. This is the reason I wanted to bring this up. There was one more video that I found yesterday, and I loved it. Keon Coleman got walked onto the field at Orchard Park for the first time. He got walked onto the field, and I'm going to tell you, and this is something I had to explain this to the fiance last night. So let me tell you something. at our core, doesn't matter how old we are, doesn't matter how old we get, how big we get, how important we get, dudes at their core are always going to be boys. We just always are. And there ain't a damn thing wrong with that. And it's a good thing there's not, because we will. And let me tell you something about me. I'm a simple man, great one. I see a football field that I'm allowed on. What am I doing? I'm scoring an imaginary touchdown every time. I'm setting up the scenario in my head. Super Bowl, 4th and 10. So-and-so at quarterback. Wearing number 3, Rob Brown, a wide receiver, lines up out wide. One-on-one press coverage on the outside. He breaks, gets into the 10, runs the flag route, touchdown. Keon Coleman got to go on the field for the first time yesterday, and what did he do?
What? Man, let's run the other side. Touchdown. Ah!
Doesn't really translate to. I mean, I
Body crazy.
My man, that clicking noise that you heard was his necklace jangling against the mic while he was running. Dude got on the field for the first time. First time ever been there. New team, new NFL stadium. Gets on the field. And does he look around and take it all in? Does he take? No. He runs a 120-yard route all the way across the field. Runs a route, by the way. Gets about 25 out, cuts in, calls his touchdown, takes it to the far side, hits the as he does what I'm going to assume is going to turn into his touchdown celly when he knocks his first one down with babyface Josh Allen, throws him his first tutty in week 1. And does his whole celebration. Man see field, man score touchdown, man happy. I am a Keon Coleman stan at this point. This guy's incredible. How much fun. Can't wait to see this guy and Josh Allen knock the Chiefs out of the playoffs this year with their ultra-heel quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Did it again.
What a horrible bunch of misses.
Oh, dude. The first punch was so trash. So trash. My favorite thing was you had all the pitchers and everybody running out. And then when they finally cleared the 4 guys that were fighting, there were just Mariners and Rays everywhere, or Brewers and Rays everywhere with their arms around each other. And they're all trying to be like, hey, bro, we can stop, right? We don't have to do this anymore.
You said fight. All I saw was a bunch of misses.
I mean, fights.
Was there a connection?
Yeah,
maybe because I did look up a little late. Maybe the initial punch landed, but I have seen a recreation of the Deadpool fight next to a Spider-Man fight, and it's punch for punch missing when he's going up at Tobey Maguire against Flash Thompson when Flash kept missing on the locker. That's what that looked like.
It did. You're not wrong.
Their punching technique horrible. I mean, coming like this.
Yeah, a lot of guys are throwing these that's not a punch. That's a club.
If you really want to hit someone, don't try to hit them in the face. I mean, and plus they're not watching the hips. There's just so many things that are horrible there, which means it's all for show. They didn't really want to hit the other guy.
It is. If you're going to come from the outside, you don't come from all the way outside. You come around, but still in a way that your shoulder is pushing the punch. If you swing like this, all you have is the momentum from your fist coming around. You're also going to break your wrist.
Right.
To do that. Because if you clip them there, it's going to bend that wrist back. If you're going to throw a hook is going to come from the outside, but it's still in a way that your shoulder, bang, you can drive off the back hip and push that shoulder into the punch. Plus, it lets your arm. You always want that fist to be a battering ram. You always you want that wrist lined up with that forearm. You don't want it to hit like that or like that. You're going to break your wrist. You need to hit with the flat.
See, you're going boxing. I'm double-A takedown on
it doesn't
them.
matter how you're going to
and
do
then
it.
I'm hammer fisting.
Your punch has got to be your punch.
I'm hammer fisting. They're not. I mean,
I'm also going to point out that, like it or not, these are professional athletes. Like
Yeah.
you and me are not beating anybody on either of those teams.
No. We are pretending that we are them and how we would handle it.
You come around, battleground, and it doesn't matter what punch you're throwing. Jab, front of the fist. Hook, front of the fist.
Just
Uppercut.
well, they need to watch some hockey games. And also, if I was like a hockey goon or someone who's I'm taking MMA lessons, or I'm going to learn how all the ways that I can throw a punch to make sure I connect. Because especially in hockey, if you're allowed to fight, do it well. Some of those guys do. Some of them do not. Some guys just hang on to the other guy's jersey while they're getting punched in the face.
Last night, you would have appreciated it. Anthony Beauchamp, who is a forward for the Swamp Rabbits, hit one of the most beautiful uppercuts I've ever seen in person. And I'm including professional boxing matches. He had a dude that had him by the shirt and was pulling him in because Beauchamp was touching him with the jab. So he pulled him in. Beauchamp got in tight, did the shoulder, came up underneath, and landed on the jaw. My man flat down. He didn't go to sleep, but I was shocked by the fact that he didn't go to sleep. Well, you know what? Let's talk about it for just a minute. Let's talk about the fight that I'm gonna use the word fight. All right.
Yeah, it's a loose word in this case. Yeah.
I'm gonna use the word fight. There was a fight last night.
It was a movie fight. That's what it was. You know, where certain camera angles will make it look like they actually connected, although they didn't really connect.
I'm pretty good with that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I shockingly, because again, I got here at like 4:00 in the morning, which normally I'm here about 4:45, right? 4:00 this morning. So I had time to pull audio, kids.
On the ground, first base, Hoskins flips to Uribe. 1 up, 1 down. Siri retired. Uribe and Siri exchanging some words, and here we go. Oh boy, that's not what you want to see. And here we go. Bullpen's empty. Abner Uribe, as soon as he got to first base, Siri kept going.
So the bench is clear. You got a little bit of a kerfluffle between the Brewers and the Rays. Abner Uribe and Jose Siri. Siri tossed that at first. They had some words earlier in the game. They had some more words at first base. In that spot, they started throwing some punches at each other. You had some ejections earlier in the game that led up to this moment. You had it was an 8-2 win for the Brewers, by the way, but nobody really cares about that. Brewers starting pitcher Freddie Peralta and Pat Murphy, the manager, as well as reliever Abner Uribe, was later tossed. Peralta and Murphy tossed in succession in the 6th, with Milwaukee holding a 6-1 lead. Peralta was having himself a night, allowed only a 3rd-inning solo home run to Jose Siri, who was involved in the fight. Siri again stepped to the plate, right-handed, threw 3 consecutive balls, plunked Siri squarely in the buttocks, sir, with the 4th shot, and then it was on at first base after that. But it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Uribe threw the punch at Siri, and Lonzo and I want to use the word punch very loosely here. I've rewatched it on replay a number of times. There, great one. It's a long wind-up, open hand slap from the outside is what it is. Not really a punch.
Well, I didn't see connect, so it was an attempt.
He grasped him with the fingertips. Was about the best that I can give him credit for. Just kind of grazed the fingertips across the face, and that was really it. That was really it. But we have had a bit of an explosion in I mean, I don't know what else to call it. Fights. I was going to try to come up with a fancier word to make it sound a little better than it was, but an explosion of fights. We had Bobby Portis Jr. not too long ago. Baseball's had 9 of them, for 8, 9 of them, something like that so far this season. We saw a ton of them. Saw a couple of them in March Madness. Yeah, it's sports, dude. With the exception of hockey, where it's kind of encouraged. And by the way, I told great one this during the break. Shout out to Anthony Beauchamp last night, who came to the defense of one of his players in the Swamp Rabbits game and landed one of the cleanest uppercuts I've ever seen in my life. In my life. Bosch had a guy pulling him in tight because he landed a jab or two early. So dude grabbed his shirt, pulled him in tight. Beauchamp tucked in nice and tight, rotated that shoulder underneath, and came up with an undercut that ended old boy's night. He had to hit the locker room after that. They had to scrape the blood off the ice. He cut him pretty good. Anyway, we've had a lot of these fights. I think that sometimes, and we've had this conversation in the past about guys getting injured. We've had this conversation in the past about different situations where, something goes catastrophically wrong in the world of sports. Sometimes we have to be reminded that while we love our sports, and we have to be reminded that while we enjoy our competition, that this is not all fun and games. I mean, it is all games, but it's not all fun and games. Some of this is legitimate. Some of this is real. Some of this is genuinely a problem. There are times when sports gets very real. And I felt like last night was one of those times for baseball. Like sometimes and it is the spirit of competition, right? I've talked in the past about the things that we love when it comes to sports. We can say that we don't, but we do. We love drama. We love drama. There is any time that there is a heightened sense of drama in sport, we love it. It is why we love a Game 7. It is why we love when there is personal accolades on the line with scoring title, most yards in a season, whatever. Whenever there are these types of things on the line, we become more interested. We get more vested in them. Why? Because we love some drama. We love personality. Last segment, I spent a hot minute, probably more than I should have, just playing you audio from a guy who showed up and turned into a little kid when he got the chance to be an NFL wide receiver for the first time. Keon Coleman went straight 8th grader on the schoolyard. First time he stepped onto a football field at the NFL level. I don't know. I mean, as a professional. First time as an NFL player that he got introduced to an NFL football field. What's the very first thing my guy does? Very first thing my guy does. Just runs an imaginary touchdown route to catch an imaginary touchdown. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. We love personalities. And we love competition, right? We love competition. This is why so many guys, Mike, Kobe, Duncan, Brady, Breeze, Manning, Mahomes, whatever the case might be. This is why we love those guys. It is not just because they are a great football player or basketball player or baseball player or whatever. We love them because they're great competitors. We love them because we like to think we see a little bit of ourselves in them, at least if you're a competitor. You know, Zoe and I are both probably competitive to an unhealthy degree, if we're being honest with each other.
Why'd you say probably?
Both Lonzo and I are competitive to an unhealthy degree. End of sentence. Full stop. And so to me, yeah, I kind of see myself in certain athletes. Not that I'm as talented as they are, but that drive to succeed. I probably should have given up on this career about 9 different times throughout its course. But I kept thinking to myself, I'm not letting somebody else dictate when I'm done. I'm not letting somebody else tell me when it's over. I'll tell you when I'm done with this industry. And I keep coming back for more. We love it. And sometimes that bleeds over. And it's nice to say, hey, man, look, don't Don't act like that. You're role models. You got to be above that. You got to be grown men. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do this. They don't got to do nothing. At the end of the day, yes, they are professionals. I am the same cat that on Monday said, I don't particularly care if Kirk Cousins' feelings are hurt. Sorry about it. Just like I don't care if Derek Carr's feelings are hurt. And I don't care if Sam Darnold's feelings are hurt. I don't care if your feelings are hurt. You are a professional. You have a job to do. Go out there and do it. This is also why I have said, I understand Bobby Portis Jr., pardon me, throwing that punch that got him rejected from game 4. I get it. I understand it. At the same time, my argument has been and will remain, you cannot do it in a way that hurts your team, because that is not doing your job. That is the opposite of doing your job. You can't do that. Bobby Portis Jr. made it damn near impossible for his team to win game 4 without him. Could do it. They had to fight to get ready for the next one, which they won, by the way. Milwaukee looked incredible in that route down to a win in the last one. But the point here is you can't hurt your team. However, we as fans, because I saw a lot of people, oh, you got to ban that guy. Oh, you got to suspend that guy. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do this. You got to do that. I get it. I understand. But it is sports at its core. It is competition. It is guys playing a very emotionally charged game. It is guys that are, and this is why I've always said, I know that there are some athletes who show to the contrary. There's the old expression in sports, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And it's a nice cliche. It's a fun cliche. At the end of the day, there is no professional athlete that is not one of the best 300 people in the planet at their sport. There's just not. And there is no professional athlete who coast. There may be athletes who work harder than other professional athletes, but there are zero professional athletes who don't work hard. You know what happens when you're a professional athlete and you don't work hard? You're Kelvin Benjamin and you're out of the league in a couple of years. That's what happens. So when these guys do stuff like this, I am the last person who's going to jump on social media and go, hey, man, these guys got to get suspended. These guys got to get sent down. These guys can't do that. You know, if somebody goes out there and they throw a cheap shot and they blindside a guy across the rip or whatever, then, yeah, we probably got a problem.
Or beat up an old manager.
Or beat up an old manager. If you throw, oh, God, who was it that guy that Pedro tossed to the ground? I just blanked on it. Oh, man. I'm going to slap myself when I remember. Don Zimmer. I knew it.
There you go.
Give me a minute. Yeah, when you do something like that, it's a little bit of a
Yeah,
story.
I as not a baseball guy, should not remember that. But that's how memorable that was.
When you are in that spot and you do something like that, that's a line you don't cross. However, when two guys who had an issue, had some drama, end up coming to blows, it is what it is, dude.
All right. And I know how this sounds, but I'm disappointed. If you're going to fight. At least connect. It's embarrassing.
I have told you in the past, I've never been in a fight. The closest I've ever gotten is sparring lessons. Hitting a dude in the head is hard. It's not easy. It's really not. Because most guys, and this is true, I've done the research, don't want to be punched in the face.
I would say
So
most girls don't want to be punched in the face either. But, you know.
Most people don't want to be punched in the face. And so they move. It's not easy, which is why so many athlete fights end up looking like what you saw last night. But the point is, to me, as far as I'm concerned, it happens. They got it out of their system. We're going to run it back one more game. Let's see what happens.
I know how this sounds, which is why I'm saying it. If I'm going to get, kicked out of the game, I'm going to connect. I mean, I got to make it worth it.
Look, this is the same.
They look like they were really trying. So
this is the same as when one of my guys about a year and a half ago told me I could hit a 40-yard field goal. And I went,
No.
done. Bring it. Let's go down to the
no.
field. I'm setting you on a tee.
This is not the same either.
It
But
is exactly the same.
No, it's
I
not.
just hit him. Yeah, it's not that easy. They're professional athletes. They're very fast.
By the way, I have been in a fight before. They were, what I'm saying is they didn't really want to hit each other because they didn't aim in a place where they could hit.
No, I don't think they're necessarily good fighters.
That was what I was saying.
Are you? If right now I lined you up against like a dude roughly a prototype of you, you're telling me one punch you're landing it guaranteed? No
Yeah.
miss?
Yeah, I'm landing a punch for sure.
No, I said one punch, first punch.
Yeah.
First swing, you're landing it, no question.
Yes.
Oh man, can I have some of your confidence? I need it.
Because it's, as a former wrestler, I know to watch someone's hips. Where your hips go, you go. Also in football, where your hips go, you go. And I'm not aiming for the head. You said I may hit him in the arm. I may hit him in the knee. I'm probably going to hit him in the stomach or more likely in the sternum. Or if I really want to hit him and take him down, I'm going to hit him in the throat.
The sensei, Lonzo.
I mean, and I'm also old, and that one punch may be all I get.
Bob and weave, baby.
Have you seen like the really old
I'm
people?
Also gonna tell you throw punches at the head, the hips. It's not in the hips. That's not where I'm beating you. It's in the shoulder.
Right, but
core.
you know everything you just did. Your sternum is still basically in the same place.
You said hips.
Right?
It's different.
No. You're missing the point. You're moving your upper body, but your core, it's still there, basically in the same spot, and you're wide enough. I may not hit you in the sternum. I might hit a pec.
I'll
take
a punch in
something.
The chest well before I take a punch
right.
in the nose.
You said connect.
Sure.
You said connect.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, hour number 2 is going to begin with the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet top 3 sports stories that you need to know, including that bunch of jerks up in Raleigh, North Carolina, putting away the Islanders. Their reward, another series with a team out of New York as they get the Rangers in round 2. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Plus, we will rank the quarterbacks across the NFC South and see who's got the advantage going into the season. All that more coming up. That is after Master Lonzo, the Chad Gable of this dojo, reads this sports flash.
Thank you. With less than 30 seconds left in game 5 between the 76ers and Knicks, it felt like the Sixers season was over. Then Tyrese Maxey took over with 7 points in the final half minute of regulation, including back-to-back threes. The Sixers erased a 6-point deficit to force overtime and ultimately win 112-106. Maxey finished with 46 points. That's a lot. The Magic Cavaliers series saw 4 blowouts in 4 games. Game 5 changed that as Cleveland stole a 104-103 win and pushed Orlando to the brink of elimination. Donovan Mitchell had 28 and Darius Garland added 23 to lead the Cavs to the win. Game 6 will be Friday in Orlando. Make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 for our brand new show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debates, and a lot of fun. Hi, my name is Lonzo. I cannot read well on the air. Still, I'm required to do that.
Since 2007, Carolina Top Dressing has been transforming, smoothing, and nourishing around one upstate South Carolina. We are passionate about giving you the healthiest yard on the block, residential or commercial, with top dressing, aerating, and overseeding services. Trust Carolina Top Dressing with your curb appeal. CarolinaTopDressing.com.
Celebrate Regal's Music Scene every Thursday night from August 29th to Nova Square. From the Piano Party at Piedmont Natural Gas downtown. Metropolitan Art Council. New this year, Arts After Dark every third Thursday, showcasing local upstate artists. Visit gvilleevents.com for details. Tired of being overweight and frustrated with diets that never work? You've probably heard all about the new injectables that are bringing life-changing results for millions. If you've thought about this exciting option, you need to call QC Kinetics today. QC Kinetics Weight Loss Protocol gives you access to these exciting injectables that can deliver remarkable results. Medically trained weight loss professionals at QC Kinetics have a comprehensive program. Includes using semaglutide and tirzepatide injections.
And so I asked him, like, I was trying to find some more information. And now that we're in here, you'll be able to tell the story properly.
Okay, well,
So we're on. Yeah.
Can you tell me what the issue is with two?
yes, it's not working.
That's the issue.
That's the issue.
For sure.
Outside of that, I don't know. You turn it on, the board is getting no signal from it. I did indeed try unplugging it and plugging it back in. That did not work. So it worked yesterday on the show. And then Cole texted me at like 4:30. And he said, was Mike 2 working for you this morning? I said, yes. And he said, okay, it's not working for us. And then Diesel called me after the show to tell me the same thing. Wesley, James, Mike, good morning, fellas. Welcome in. Spectacular to have y'all all here.
Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan.
Yes, your lingering is yes.
Do you have to let it linger? Do you have to? You want me to turn it on?
Yeah.
Check 1 2 1 2 1 2.
SkyRizzy.com or call 1-866-SkyRizzy to learn more.
Unique and unlike any other sports talk.
I can turn it on when we start the segment as well. Okay. Oh, I'm going to.
Here's the Red Zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games.
Good job.
We call that the discovery process.
Or also doubt. Well, they just don't know how to push the on
That's one
button.
of being an engineer.
Yeah.
Make the people do the thing they say isn't doing.
Well, and come and prove that you don't really believe that. Yeah.
No, that is, I'm
Whatever, man.
Step 1 of being an engineer is make.
You
the
ain't no
person do the
engineer.
thing You said.
What do you know? Trey, dude, debate is what we're supposed to do. That's what I just don't, I mean, dude. We stopped debating. We don't work anymore. I like my job.
And for the record, we are still friends.
Yeah.
We've shared an office for like 3 years now,
yeah.
4 years now, and haven't killed each other. So. I think that there's this like growing belief amongst the Armada that the Great One and I like get done with a show and have it out in the parking lot every time. We don't.
Now, Chris and I, that's a totally different story.
Yeah, no, Chris and Zoe throwing blows every time.
Yeah. I would like to noogie him until the rest of his hair falls out. Man, I hope he's listening.
It's like it's like a boxing match with those cats. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in our numero dos, the Money Hour. The Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome in. Great to have you. Hope you had a lovely, lovely Tuesday. The midweek edition is underway, and it is just after 7 o'clock in the AM portion of the day. My friends, that means that you are now just 58 minutes and 40 seconds away from having to clock in, from having to go to work, from having to get yourself into, the zone. What's the word for that? There's like a word for the zone, the flow, into the flow. You got to get yourself in the flow. And then once you get into the flow and you get that first couple of projects done and you're like, everything's going real good. I'm loving this, blah, blah, blah. I like a break.
So you're talking about being efficient, which you all should do when you get to work. Be efficient.
Yeah, you can't give 100% every day. That's not realistic.
Why not?
It's not realistic. It's just not. Can't give 100% every day. It's just not realistic.
So there's not like at least one moment in the day where you give 100%.
There are days when you are mentally incapable of giving 100%. And anyone
At all in anything in the entire day.
There are.
If you're sick, I guess.
If you are the type of cat who has 100% every single day, you're I don't know. You're the outlier.
I've had plenty of 100% days.
I didn't say you never have. I'm saying if you say
yeah.
you can do it 5 days a week, you can give 100% every day, you're a liar. No, you can't. Nobody can. That's not how it works. Point here is you're going to go to work. You're going to give somewhere between 75 and 100%. And I respect whatever that number is. All right. Give the best you got. All right. And then you're going to go, time to take a break. I'm bored. No, I'm frustrated. No, I'm tired. Whatever the reason, you're going to take the break. You're going to walk down that hallway. You're going to go to the water cooler. You're going to stand around with the coworkers, specifically the one that you like. Maybe it's Bob from accounting. Maybe it's Linda from over in HR. Whoever it is, you got your person you talk sports with, right?
Come on, HR person doesn't have any friends. I mean, it's
fine. It's
unfortunate.
not Linda in HR.
Yeah.
It's Tammy in accounting.
Plus, we all know Linda colors her hair, but we can't say anything because she's HR.
No, it's all natural. Point here is you're going to talk sports. And if you're going to talk sports, you got to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you need to know what's going on in the world of sports, you need this. Water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with your coworkers this morning. When you take that first break and you gather around the water cooler to discuss all things in the world of athletics, these are the things that you will need to know. No Dame, no Giannis, no problem for the Milwaukee Bucks as they knock off the Indiana Pacers last night. 150. Oh, sorry. I'm bad at this. I've never done it before. Item number 1. There you go. You got to have the bong rip to start it, man.
I mean, it's tradition.
It is.
Way to not give it 100%.
I'd say I can't. You can't do it. Can't do it.
No Giannis.
No Dame, no Giannis, no problem for the Milwaukee Bucks last night. 115-92 winners over the Indiana Pacers. You got 29 out of Bobby Portis. Should be. Had plenty of rest. Didn't play in the last game because he got bounced 7 minutes in for throwing a punch or whatever we would describe as a punch.
Does that punch connect?
No, not really.
Okay, I mean, come on.
It was like more of it was also more of a slap. Why is what dudes slapping each other?
If you're going to get suspended,
you might as well earn it.
Right.
Put a dude to sleep. Right?
Anyway, that's a little too far, probably.
You cannot throw a punch without the expectation you're putting the other guy to sleep. If you're throwing a punch for any reason other than to put a dude to sleep, don't throw the punch.
Maybe you just want to see like a nose or an ear explode.
You're going to throw a punch. You throw a punch with the intent to end the fight. That's a classic boxing thing. Do anything else, even a jab.
You're a boxing expert, so I'm going to take your word for that. Okay, I will change my way of thinking.
39 minutes, 29 points for Bobby Portis Jr. Chris Middleton played 40, scored 29 as well. They got 18 out of Michael Beasley as well yesterday evening. The Bucks very efficient with the basketball, 52.5% from the floor, 38% from deep. On the flip side, the Pacers, for whatever reason, just could not ever really get it going in that game. 12 turnovers for the Pacers last night. I believe that is a series high off the top of my head. The problem is nobody could really get going. You had 16 out of Tyrese Halliburton. Nobody else scored more than 13 in that game. You had 12s and 7s and 3s and 4s and 6s up and down the depth chart. It was just a game where Milwaukee was better. Like, I can give you all the analysis and the X's and O's and the rebounds and all that, and that's all well and good. It's something to talk about. By the way, 44 rebounds for Milwaukee last night. I can give you all the numbers in the world, but at the end of the day, this one, really, really simple. The Bucks just played good basketball last night. Clean, efficient, pounded the glass, got to the rebounding category. They just played better basketball. We had 4 games and 4 blowouts that led to the Orlando Magi and the Cleveland Cavaliers finding themselves knotted up at a deuce apiece. Both of them had dubs. Both of those dubs for both teams were blowouts. Last night, the Piper played a different tune. 104-103. Cleveland scores one away from the Orlando Magic very, very late in that game. Cleveland ended up shooting 43% from the floor, 35% from the arc in their 104-103 win. 39 points out of Paolo Banchero. Unfortunately, unlike in other games, didn't really have a ton of support in this one. You got 14 from Franz Wagner. You got 13 from Suggs. You got 8 off the bench from Wagner, the other Wagner. That, of course, would be Moritz Wagner, a bench guy, 8 points. And that's the most support Paolo Banchero got. Can we be clear? Somebody said this in the chat yesterday, and I gotta give him credit for it. Somebody in the chat said yesterday, Paolo Banchero is the most under-talked about young superstar in the league. Not if you listen to this show. I have been singing the praises of Paolo Banchero for like a hot minute. If you listen to the show when we did our NBA playoffs preview, I told you if you made me pick a young dark horse team, I was just as likely to select the Indiana Pacers or the Orlando Magic. And the reason why I put Orlando in that category, even though everybody up in here was trying to say, Rob, the Magic are young. They ain't them. They don't got it. My answer was what? You got Paolo Banchero, you got a chance. That kid is a dude. Had a kind of a slow start to this series, but has been putting up 30 spots with regularity. Paolo Banchero is one of the most underappreciated young stars in the league right now. And he absolutely deserves to be talked about it more frequently. So we talk about it here. Paolo Banchero, unfortunately, did not get the win last night. 104-103 for the Cavs. They head down to Miami. Nope, scratch that. Orlando. It's the other team down in Florida. Florida had a really good run into the postseason. Tampa got bounced, but Miami got in. The Panthers got in. The Lightning got in. The Dolphins got in. The Rays are going to win probably 92 games and potentially could get in the East. Like it's a good time to be a Florida sports fan right now. Florida State went 13-0 and won the national championship. Like, it's a good ride.
No, they did not.
The game 6 will be down in Orlando coming up on Friday. And so far, it's been pretty good in favor of the home teams in this one. And if that trend holds, game 7 back in Cleveland at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. And finally, Sixers-Knicks. Please tell me you saw the end of this game. Please tell me, America, that you watched the end of this game, because it was chaos on the hardwood at its absolute finest. The 76ers found themselves down 6 points with under a half of a minute to go. In the history of the National Basketball Association, until last night, there had been 4 games in which a team trailed by 5 or more inside of the last 30 seconds and came back to win the game. It had happened 3 times before this series started. They added the 4th a couple of games ago when Jalen Brunson was a dude and the Knicks scored, 7 inside the final minute, including 4 inside the final 5 seconds. Last night, it happened for the 2nd time in this series. The 76ers trail by 6 with 28.9 seconds left to play. They came down the floor. Tyrese Maxey hit a 3, got the foul called, knocked down his free throw, cut the lead. Back on the other end, the Knicks with a miss. Josh Hart goes to the line, splits the free throws 1 and 1. They come back down the other end. Knicks wanted to foul. Knicks should have fouled. Foul the guy. Send him to the line. Shoot 2. You're down 3. They can't win. They can't tie if you foul. But they didn't do that. They didn't foul. Instead, they watched Tyrese Maxey lift up about a 35-footer from just on the inside of the half-court logo, buried it, and sent the game to overtime. Jalen Brunson scored 9 in the overtime period. Only Nick to score in OT. The Sixers just a little bit better. You got 46 out of Tyrese Maxey on 17 of 30 and 7 of 12 from floor. Joel Embiid did not have a bad night either. 19 on 7 of 19 from the floor. Also came down with 16 boards and 10 assists, a triple-double from Joel Embiid, who was still kind of throwing the bows. You know what's really interesting about this game? The Knicks played 2 guys off the bench. The Sixers played 3. That's incredible to me. Neither team really went to their bench heavy in this game. In fact, one of the 3 guys that came off the bench for the Sixers was Paul Reed, who played 4 minutes in this game. The Knicks had Robinson and McBride come off the bench. Both played 25 and 33 minutes respectively, but that was it. 2 guys off the bench. This series is going to be exhausting for these 2 teams. Let's move on to item numero dos. The bunch of jerks from up in Raleigh, North Carolina, You're My Our Carolina Hurricanes are on to round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs in the East. A 6-3 win over the Islanders at home last night. Jack Drury, Stefan Noesen scored 8 seconds apart in the third period. The fastest 2 goals in a playoff game in franchise history. Broke their previous record of 9 seconds between goals, which was set in the third period of game 2 in this exact same series. Drury's goal came on a deflected puck that the Islanders could not clear from their zone. Noesen scored 8 seconds later on a bounce off the sideboards that sailed directly to the Islanders' net, caught the goalkeeper out of position, and he just gently shuffled it in to the back of the net. The Hurricanes were talking about after the game 4 loss on the road in New York. They felt like in that game, the lucky bounces just went the direction of the Islanders. They said they got it back this time, and they did. Carolina moving on to the second round tomorrow on the show. Fingers crossed. Got to schedule an interview tonight, but Kyle Sullivan, who covers the NHL for the Locked On Network, we will be hopefully, again, fingers crossed, having a discussion with him this evening that I will record and play back for you on tomorrow's edition of the Rob Brown Show. And we will catch up with the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs as we are now moving on to round numero dos. Let's get very quickly to item number 3. UAB football shook the game up a little bit yesterday. That one, of course, would be the University of Alabama, Birmingham. The T-Blazers, baby, their entire football roster has signed up for athletes.org, making them the first Division I football team to publicly join a players association. They were introduced to the group by an unexpected source, Trent Dilfer, guy who played quarterback better than Dan Marino did.
See, you brought this about by doing that yesterday, but now you're on Trent's side, right?
For the record, didn't bother me at all.
No, you're Trent's your guy now, right?
I mean, in this case, yeah, he's not better than Dan Marino was.
Yeah, but he won a championship, and Dan Marino is
still not better than Dan Marino.
Is a bad actor.
Still not better than Dan Marino. And also, you will absolutely watch your tongue about Something About Mary. Classic American cinema.
No, that was Brett Favre.
Oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yes.
Ace Ventura. I said Ace Ventura like 90 times.
No. As I pointed out yesterday, Brett Favre was a better actor, and now it was in your subconscious, and you wanted to agree with me, and now you have.
Again, they don't hand out rings to quarterbacks for acting. Okay? Dan Marino's fine actor. Fine actor. Fine thespian.
I also believe his tan is fake.
Oh, he's from Miami. That's how it works. Anyway, Dilfer told ESPN, quote, they're going to have a seat at the table. I wanted to make sure I help pour gasoline on something that is going to happen no matter what. I might as well use my influence to help it happen faster on behalf of our players. Dilfer introduced this team to athletes.org, one of several companies attempting to organize athletes for potential revenue sharing discussions. UAB players told ESPN every member of the team signed up to join the organization after hearing their pitch to the team. The team has no plans to bargain with their school at this point, but their decision to join in mass is symbolic of the growing momentum for players to organize. Quarterback Jacob Zeno, Z-E-N-O. That is a quarterback name, son.
Hey.
Quarterback Jacob Zeno said the move shows the players' growing interest in having a voice and a new model for college sports. He said, quote, in a way, we've been cheated out of money and decisions are being made behind our back. It's not really fair because we do so much for the sport, for the school, and for the conference. We should at least deserve to know what's going on and what decisions are being made. UAB has not yet commented on this move.
So a dude named Zeno is got them to join the union.
He has joined the union. Trent Dilfer got him.
I know, but you act like Zeno is the spokesperson, it would seem.
I mean, he's a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy. You know, everybody's got you got to have a guy. You got a guy for this. You got a guy for that. Now you got a guy who's it'd be unfortunate if you cross the picket line. You know what I mean? Don't be a scab. Don't be a scab.
Yeah. Have you ever? No, I guess you haven't. I've been in a couple unions that were striking, and yeah.
I worked in Florida. We weren't allowed to have unions
Yeah,
down there.
I was told, if anyone crosses the line, me and you, we're taking them out. It's a disadvantage being a big guy sometimes, because the other big guy is like, we're taking them out, right? We're doing this. Like, okay.
My name is Rob Brown. I'm the finesse player. That's Lonzo. He's the goon of the show. The Rob Brown Show is back to talk about that story when we return right here on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, another quick live reading. We're coming right back. Y'all stay right there. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Fan Upstate. Let's talk about this UAB thing here for just a quick minute, shall we? UAB football players say their entire roster has signed up for athletes.org. Athletes.org is a company that has been set up and established in order to organize college athletes in order to get them prepared for a potential revenue sharing system that could come down the pipe at a later date. Now, this obviously ties in to what we talked about at length yesterday. That is the discussion that the NCAA could be setting up for a settlement in the federal antitrust case. What's the word I'm looking here for? The lawsuit where like a bunch of people, class action. Yes, bang, nailed it. I'm good at this. The class action lawsuit that's been brought against them that a lot of folks think they might have a chance at losing. Before we get to the UAB thing, yesterday, Reese Davis, one of the biggest names in college football, joined Pat McAfee on the Pat McAfee Show. And McAfee asked him, I thought, a very pointed question, and Reese Davis gave his answer. Here is that response.
Let's talk about being on the same exact wavelength here. SEC, Big Ten have come out now, and I think they're trying to figure out a CBA or get money for players and get a piece of the TV pie. What are you hearing about that, and how quickly do you think this kind of all has to happen for the good of the sport as a whole, Reese?
It's going to have to happen before they end up having to pay damages in that House case in which they're coming against all of the NCAA for past wages and past money and NIL that was held back. So I think they'll need to reach the agreement before that comes, and that's what the judge has asked them to do. I think that there are a lot of athletic directors. I've talked to some just in the last couple of days who are really concerned about the future and want to get this settled because they want to figure out how to budget things and whether how they're going to have to allocate the money. There's a lot of money. It'll be up to them to figure out how to do it, but how much will they have to allocate? So I think that within the next year or so, or at least before the time that this case would come before the judge for a ruling, I think the settlement would be helpful and kind of give us some parameters.
So there you go. There's Reese Davis effectively saying that if a settlement's going to come, it's got to be before the judgment. Obviously, that's how it works. But as long as these two organizations are talking about a settlement, my bet is the judge can kind of delay giving out some sort of ruling. It will not be indefinite. He's not going to just let that conversation happen forever and always. At some point, there will be a point where he says, hey, we got to come to a conclusion here. We can't have this thing tied up forever. But the belief in this conversation is that as the two entities, the plaintiffs, the defendants, the folks who brought the antitrust suits, lawyers, and the lawyers representing the NCAA in this case, will at some point have to either reach a settlement or it will have to go for a decision. And the current belief right now is that the case is strong enough that the NCAA would lose, likely, though not a guarantee. That is why they are pushing for a settlement in this case. Settlement likely to do a couple of things. Number one, it would decrease the amount of back pay that the NCAA would have to pay to the class action filees. I don't know if that's a word. In this case, I'm using it. Shut up. I'm good at this.
I don't know. Filees sounds.
Filers, defilers. I don't know.
Yeah, let's not go with that last one.
With the people who filed the lawsuit, the plaintiffs.
There you go.
There you go. They believe, folks who are following this court case very intently, believe that the back pay number would be north of $4 billion and believe that a settlement payout would land somewhere in the neighborhood of like $1.5 to $2.5 billion. So it would save the NCAA somewhere in the neighborhood of probably $2 to $2.5 billion worth of back pay, which somebody asked me the question yesterday. I was talking to a dear friend of mine, and I shan't give a name because he'll be very upset with me if I do. But he said, Rob, what would be the difference? If you're the NCAA, why not fight it? What would be the difference between $4 billion in settlement and $2 billion worth of judgment? And I said, I'm not good at this, but roughly $2 billion, which is a lot of dollars. That's a large quantity of dollars.
Way to go. You didn't even need Steiner math for that.
That was straight up. $2 billion is a lot of dollars that the NCAA would like to, not have to give away.
Did your friend take a baseball swing at you after you said that?
No, you could tell he was going to try to slap me from a distance. But he also understood, you get it. $2 billion is a freaking lot of money. I believe it is a large enough sum of money that we could use the vague but not unintentionally buttload of money to describe it as. It is a buttload of money. Anyway, that is part of it. The second part of the settlement would likely end up creating a situation where the NCAA would indeed, as we talked about at length yesterday, establish a revenue sharing program between the NCAA, the conferences, the schools within it, and the athletes who participate in that sport. Now, as I also talked about yesterday, past that, I don't think we know what that means. I don't know what we think that it looks like. There are questions that have to be answered. How does that impact Title IX at different schools? Are you going to be obligated to come up with a revenue sharing program that distributes the same amount of money to the starting quarterback of the football team as it does the reserve libero on the volleyball team?
All right.
Libero?
It's libero.
Okay.
I'm confused about something, which is
usually am.
Yeah, which is a daily thing. So I thought that coaches in schools can't directly involve themselves yet.
Right now they can't.
Didn't Trent Dilfer do that?
No. Trent Dilfer did not facilitate the changing of any money. Trent Dilfer said, hey, here's a company that it wants you guys to be organized so that when this happens, you can get.
Yeah, but that's the equivalent of, hey, I know a guy over here who might be able to take care of you.
That's
just
really
don't mention that I told you.
It's really not. I get it.
It just seems like direct involvement from a school employee when they're not supposed to do that.
I mean, it's not. The only thing the schools can't do.
I guess I don't understand the law then.
The only thing the schools can't do right now is directly facilitate the transfer of money. That's it. They can help organize, they can help arrange, they can help set up, whatever. The only thing they can't do is take money from here and give it to there. That's the one thing they can't do.
But they can send you to the place where you're getting the money.
Correct. They just can't transfer.
Okay.
They can't be the middleman for the actual dollars.
But they kind of are.
No, they're not.
If you're saying go over here and you'll get money, then you go over there and you get money. How are you not facilitating that?
Because they're not taking the money from A and giving it to B, or taking money out of.
There is so much lawyer speak in this.
It's really
and
not.
It's just,
It's not. The schools can't pay the players right now, but this lawsuit can, and it looks like if the settlement happens, and I'll be real, probably if it doesn't, it still will change that. It will create a revenue sharing model where the NCAA or whatever the entity in question might be hands out at the end of the year. You get from your conference this much, from your bowl appearance, you get this much, yada, yada, yada.
So
and that school will take a percentage of all of the money it gets from television contracts for its football team, its basketball team, its baseball team, all of the money that it gets, and it will slice off a percentage of that, and that percentage will go to the players. This is that trust fund that we talked about a couple of months ago.
I'm curious. So if hypothetically someone played football in college in the 1986-1987 season, just hypothetically, would that person be due some money?
If they're part of this class action lawsuit, yeah.
How does one become a part of that class action lawsuit? Is it too late?
Assuming you get in touch with an attorney who is part of it, and
so the only people getting paid are a part of it, because yesterday when we talked about it, made it sound like there's a possibility that anyone who had played was due some money.
Not necessarily.
And I didn't think about that till just this moment, but someone I know actually did play, some college ball, and maybe they're due some money.
Again, I will be straight up. As I said yesterday on the show, and I did not get a chance yesterday because I had a hockey game to work last night. Unfortunately, I got bounced. I got a little more free time moving forward. I don't know all of the ins and the outs. I have not sat down. Normally, I sit down and I actually read the lawsuit because I am a absolute 100% and entire giant dork, and I read these things. I will read this lawsuit now. I'm sure it's probably 1,000 pages long.
I'm
but it's
also
massively important.
Curious, is it all levels of college football, college
know.
sports, or just D1?
I do not know.
Okay.
I don't know the
All
answers
right, all
to
right.
that. And this is, I will acknowledge.
These are things that suddenly become important to me. I don't know why.
This is something that I will acknowledge that I have. This is a shortcoming on me as a host. It is I have to apologize because I did not delve into the actual lawsuit to the degree that I should. And I will now, because this is going to be something I can go read.
All former college players out there listening right now, we need to figure this out so we can get paid. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I don't know how it works. I need to find that out. So what I do know is that if this settlement goes through, and again, probably likely, even if it doesn't, there's going to be a revenue sharing program that is going to be set up between the schools and the athletes within it. What that model looks like, I don't know. I got no idea. I got no idea how that shapes up because, like we said, there's a lot of question marks that are going to have to find answers. How does this impact Title IX? Is there going to be some proportionate measure of, well, football games achieve these ratings, volleyball games achieve these ratings, so football players get this percent, volleyball players get this percent? Is it going to change up, say, hypothetically, and for instance, will Iowa's women's basketball program from last year be owed more money than Iowa's football program? Because Iowa's women's basketball team had more viewers than Iowa's hysterically bad football program did. Do they deserve more money, even though the television contract with the Big Ten to the Iowa Hawkeye football team probably brought in more money? There are all these questions that we don't know the answer to yet, and they're going to have to be found out. Do you know who has started that process? As Pat McAfee mentioned just moments ago, the SEC and the Big Ten have started this. So when we come back, we'll take a look at the discussion that the two biggest power conferences are having right now and then tie it back to what Trent Dilfer and the UAB program did. We'll do that next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, let me step away for 35 seconds. Y'all stay right there, and I will be right back. I don't know why that's as funny as it is. So as we have mentioned a number of times thus far, we kind of have an idea of what comes next if the NCAA does reach a settlement in the class action federal antitrust suit that has been brought against them. One of the things that is expected is going to be some sort of revenue sharing plan, a revenue sharing plan that will involve the schools taking a slice of the profits that they make from television contracts, advertising, etc., and sharing that with the athletes. But that's about all we know. Because at this point, there are dramatically more questions than there are answers. Lonzo peppered me with questions in the last segment. The answer to most of them is, I don't know. And I don't know that a lot of people are going to know until we get to that point. And we've got a bunch of people who sit around with a bunch of lawyers and start to ask and try to answer these questions while sticking to the letter of the law. But there are people who have a very vested interest in this. Two of them are the folks that are in charge of the Southeastern Conference of the Big Ten, which is why, according to an article that dropped yesterday from Dennis Dodd of CBSSports.com, the SEC and the Big Ten are at the center of developing a revenue sharing plan with players that, according to Dennis Dodd, quote, would redefine college athletics for the future, end quote. The still unrefined proposal, writes Dodd, currently utilizing the name Modern Model, quote, end quote, would not only share revenue with players, but also perhaps help settle the House v. NCAA lawsuit that goes to trial, if it stays on schedule, in January of next year. The antitrust lawsuit is a class action complaint alleging the NCAA and power conferences have conspired to suppress athletes' compensation. The lawsuit, as of right now, is considered the top hurdle for programs in planning college athletics' future. Settlement money alone could cost universities between $15 to $20 million a pop. Athletic directors have been frustrated trying to figure out how to rearrange their budgets or otherwise account for a payment of that size. ESPN reported Monday night that the Power Four conferences are in, quote, deep discussions, end quote, regarding a revenue sharing plan. It is not clear where that revenue would come from or how it would be distributed. Dodd goes on to say that, quote, sources told CBS Sports the revenue sharing idea emerged from ongoing talks between Power Four administrators. In February, the SEC and Big Ten announced a joint advisory group to address the future of college athletics. House plaintiff's attorney Jeffrey Kessler had no comment when reached, neither about the plan nor the prospect of settling the lawsuit, end quote. That's what Dodd had to say in his article. It is available on CBSSports.com or YahooSports.com. USA Today quoted a sports economics expert for the plaintiffs who said 7,000 current and former athletes would be entitled to that money that are on the docket as of right now. Sports law attorney Mitt Winter told CBS Sports, quote, it's the case that could end the NCAA. And it very much is. It very much is. There comes a point, and we've talked about this at length. Some of you guys have commented on this over time. And by the way, if you do want to comment on this story, the fan phone is open right now at 844-326-3663. That is the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-FAN-FONE. The text line is open for you at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the radio broadcast. Basically, what they are saying here is that when you combine this with the Alston v. NCAA ruling, which, according to Dennis Dodd, quote, basically stripped the NCAA of its ability to even oversee athlete compensation, end quote, there comes a point where you do have to ask the question, what's the point of the organization anymore? Because the Big Ten and the SEC, they're handling their own television contracts. The playoffs, the College Football Playoff Committee, effectively runs the postseason at this point. What is the point of the organization? The teams and the conferences, they handle their own scheduling. The NCAA doesn't really do all that much except make sure that college football is played under an umbrella of rules that does not change from conference to conference to conference to conference. The Big Ten, the SEC, they're all playing under the same roof. I am going to.
I just have a question.
I'll do my best.
All right. Is it possible that the Big Ten and the SEC are behind this whole thing to dissolve the NCAA?
Oh, I like that one.
Yes.
I like that one.
We've
I like that one a lot.
We've talked about how they wanted to do the super conference thing. Maybe this is how they do it.
I like that a lot. I think that's a great. I'm actually going to stick on this one for a minute because it's out of the camera scope. Chris may have come in here and fixed this microphone only for me to decide in the hour and 43 minutes I've used it that I'm switching microphones.
Except for it's a different sound because I believe it's processed differently, and you sound better on the other mic.
Oh.
I'm just saying, you do.
All right, fine. Hang on. Keep going with your conspiracy theory. I like it.
All right, so I do believe they do that. They're really heavy. We've talked about for a year or two now the fact that they want it to be two conferences and that the SEC and the Big Ten would like for the NCAA to go away.
Sure.
So why not do some things behind the scenes to empower, if you will, certain aspects of the players, so that the NCAA becomes inferior, no longer needed, all that kind of stuff.
I actually like the conspiracy theory the way that I like all conspiracy theories, in that, like, no, but also it's kind of fun to think about. Here's why I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because I think unless the SEC and the Big Ten organized a 7,000 plaintiff class action lawsuit that involved a ton of players who did not play in the SEC and did not play in the Big Ten, unless they organize that, it's a wee bit. I don't want to use the word unfathomable.
So how about untraceable?
I mean, maybe, but again, much like I say with every conspiracy theory, the more people,
a seed cannot grow unless you plant it.
I don't disagree, but the more people are involved, the less likely that somebody isn't going to spill the beans, even accidentally somewhere. This has been my problem with, say, the moon landing hoax. You're telling me there are 5,000 NASA employees and not one of them one time said, here's the documentation. We didn't land on the moon. Yes, we did. You can't fake that.
I'm going to go with Tony Petitti. Did all this. That's what I'm doing.
Tony Petitti, huh? Made a couple of calls, talked to a couple of guys, got a couple of brown paper bags, and wango bango. Here we are. Gabagool. Going full Sopranos on us, huh? I think that, again, I actually like the conspiracy theory in that it's kind of fun to talk about. That's a big ask for not a handful of people, two very large organizations to orchestrate a 7,000 person plaint. And by the way, that also means that 7,000 athletes attached to this lawsuit all got to keep their mouth shut. Now, for $1 million,
no. I think you're misunderstanding. I think they want this division. They want all this to be a thing so that the NCAA can dissolve. You only have to start with one person, and that one person knows someone on their team who goes, "Yeah, I want to do that too," and then suddenly it's going to spread thanks to social media and other avenues.
I think the other angle of this is that the Big Ten and the SEC can just leave the NCAA, right? They can just go, we're done. We're good here. Thank y'all very much. We're going to do our own thing over here. We're going to do our own thing off on the side. We don't need y'all anymore.
But how do you convince everybody else?
Yeah, I don't think you need to. You're the Big Ten and the SEC. Even if the reason the Big Ten and the SEC are the two power players right now is because no matter what they do, they're going to have the largest television audiences. That's not a question. That's a statement. The Big Ten and the SEC could leave the NCAA. Everybody else could stay behind in the NCAA, and whatever organization the Big Ten and the SEC create, even if they don't do it in lockstep, even if it's two different outlets, it wouldn't be, because there's more money in working together. But no matter what the functionality of the organization that they remove themselves from the NCAA and create, they're going to have the biggest TV audience and they're going to get the biggest television contract. And at the end of the day, that is even this discussion about settlements and plaintiffs and defendants and revenue sharing and all that, it all revolves around the television contracts at the end of the day. It's all revolving around that. And so that is why I have said and continue to say, anybody who's telling you right now, oh, this is what's going to happen, they don't know. They can't know. There's no way for the people in the midst of this lawsuit are telling you right now, we got no idea what's next. As the old country song once said, we'll burn that bridge when we get there. That's pretty much the spot we're in now. We'll burn that bridge when we get there. We'll deal with it when it happens. We want to do what's right now, and then we'll figure out the consequences, the results later. So, we don't know. I don't know. We can't know what is coming up next. All that we do know right now is that apparently a settlement is being moved forward to, on one hand. The SEC and the Big Ten, I think, are pretty much confirming that at this point. They are pretty much confirming now that that is the case because they are in tandem working together to build a revenue sharing plan. They're calling it the what do we say the name was? The modern model. They're building the modern model right now to figure out what comes next in collegiate athletics. They are going to, at some point, bring forward a proposal. Now, this ties us back to what's happened at UAB that kind of kicked this whole conversation off. The head coach of the UAB Blazers, better than Dan Marino quarterback Trent Dilfer, organized his players and said, hey, here's this company. Here's this company, athletes.org. And this company wants to organize you guys so that when the revenue sharing plan comes up for a discussion, you guys will have what is not technically, but is definitely a union. And because you guys are a major piece of the puzzle, because again, ain't not a one of y'all tuning in to watch a coach. Ain't not one of y'all tuning in to watch a ref. Ain't not one of y'all tuning in to watch conferences do whatever they do. Wait. You'll notice there's no live webcams over the desk of the SEC's accounting department. We tune in for college football players playing college football. So when those college football players get on the television in the next year or the year after that or whenever the settlement comes into play, when they dive in and when we as fans start watching college football players play college football and when the TV networks are handing off tens of / hundreds of millions of dollars to these conferences and ipso facto to these schools, this school already has their players going, here's what we'd like to negotiate for. We'd like to negotiate for our slice of the pie, and we're going to make this happen, or UAB won't have a football program, and therefore UAB won't get this money, and therefore UAB, everybody's cooked. We cooked, y'all cooked, everybody's cooked. And that's what we're going to do. This is where that comes from. Because on one hand, you got this settlement working. On one hand, you were talking about anywhere from 1 to 1.5 to 2 to potentially $4 million if it goes to a judgment, and the creation of a revenue sharing plan. Well, if a revenue sharing plan goes into play and the athletes aren't already organized, guess what happens? The conferences and the schools are going to do their gosh darndest to leave the players out of the negotiations. Because if they leave them out of the negotiations, ain't nobody there to negotiate for them. And it turns out if you don't have somebody negotiating for your slice of the pie, the people who also are dealing with the pie are going to take more of the pie for themselves than you might be able to get if you're sitting at the table. So better than Dan Marino, Trent Dilfer set his players down and said, hey, look, here's the deal. You guys get together. Y'all organize, y'all pick a leader, y'all pick a captain, y'all work together to get all your ducks in a row so that when this revenue sharing plan comes to fruition, you are already organized and ready to sit at the table. You are already organized and ready to sit down and negotiate with UAB, with our conference, and with the NCAA or whatever it becomes to get the biggest chance. And oh, by the way, for those of you asking, why would Trent Dilfer do this? Why would Trent Dilfer do this and hurt his school, hurt his football program? He's not. I'll tell you why Trent Dilfer would do this. Because what does Trent Dilfer look like right now? The first coach that stepped up into the box and took a Aaron Judge caliber swing for his guys. If you're a young recruit, you're looking for a place to play ball, and you're not a Power 5 guy, you're a guy that's got to go play somewhere Mountain West caliber football, Sun Belt football, and you're looking around trying to figure out, where do I want to go? A coach who actively went to bat and helped his players organize on their own behalf. I tell you, that is an attractive recruiting pitch. That's why Dabo Swinney's texting the Ravens going, hey, come draft Nate Wiggins. He's your guy. Because now he can tell recruits, by the way, you make it to that level, you make it to the level that you think you're a pick, I'll get on the horn with GMs in the NFL for you. I will go to bat for you. Trent Dilfer just went to bat for the boys. If you're a UAB caliber player, that is a hell of a recruiting pitch. Now, may I recruit you to stick around for hour number 3 of the show? Because not only is Abe Gordon of 92.9 The Game out of the ATL joining us in the next segment to talk Braves baseball after the Braves drop 2 in a row on the road at Seattle, but if you stick to the next break, you get to experience one of the most magnificent things in all of sports talk entertainment, one of Lonzo's sports flashes.
You know, Trent Dilfer also better than Dan Marino at football. No Dame, no Giannis, no problem for Milwaukee as they downed Indiana 115-92 last night. Bobby Portis and Chris Middleton both scored 29 points apiece. The Bucks shot over 52% from the floor and 38% from 3. The offense picked up for the Atlanta Braves, but the runs did not as Atlanta dropped their second in a row at Seattle. The Braves had 7 hits and scored twice in the 8th to cut the deficit to 3-2, but couldn't find the tying run in the 9th. Atlanta's lead in the NL East is down to just a half game over Philadelphia, and Rob thinks that's important, even though they've only played like 30 games. But anyway, tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole, Bryson, and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a lot of fun. And guess what? It's all Wire to Wire. On the other hand, you could go that way.
Conversation about a World War II memorial began in 1987. A representative from Ohio introduced the bill to fund the memorial in 1987, but politics, money, and debated blueprints caused delay after delay and ground didn't break until the year 2000. Congress funded the memorial up to $16 million, but the entire project cost $164 million. Private donations were collected and spearheaded by Bob Dole and Tom Hanks. The fountains represent the 2 theaters, Europe and the Pacific. There's also a curved wall of 4,000 gold stars, one for every 100 Americans killed in the war. The monument was finally dedicated on May 29, 2004 by President George W. Bush. This has been a bite out of history with Eagles Markets.
I could capture the settings from mic 1.
All right, guys, we're going to step away while we get my boy Abe Gordon loaded up. We'll be back in just a minute. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show begins right now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Great to have you. It is the Fan Upstate. My name is Rob Brown.
He's a big-ass boy is what he is. God dang.
His name is the great one, Lonzo.
Lonzo is a superstar.
Oh, we were. That's how good he is. He gets 2 bites at the same time.
It's all right. Mine was louder. So
That's true. Dramatically. That's what happens when you run not just this show, ladies and gentlemen, but every radio show you've ever listened to and enjoyed, as Lonzo does. You get the priority.
Well, in the upstate, I mean, there's other places like Atlanta where there's some really good people that run shows, and I think they do a excellent job.
How funny you bring up Atlanta. What a random coincidence that happens to be, because joining us right now on these very airwaves via the magic of telecommunications is the host of the Abe TL show on 92.9 The Game. He is a dear friend of mine, both on and off the air. He is one Abe Gordon joining the show. Abe, what's up, big dog?
Not too much, man. Rob, always appreciate you having me on. Let's get into it because it's been a weird couple of days here in Atlanta. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, man. Listen, like Lonzo likes to make fun of me because annually there is a point in the season for the Bravos where I reach over and I slap the big red panic button to the point that I have a sounder for when the Braves inevitably make me do so. Here's a weird thing, Abe. You dropped the first 2 in Seattle. You dropped 2 in a row in low-scoring games where you got 7 hits last night, only 3 hits the night before that. And my only thought is, they're fine, right? Like this lineup is too full of too good of players for this to be a concern to me. Am I sitting on the silver lining here? Do you think there's a problem, or is this maybe just the result of traveling across the country to go play in Seattle?
Well, it's a little bit of both. And I say that because I think the problem will solve itself. But yeah, right now there is a problem. And that is that Ronald Acuna, Austin Riley, and Matt Olson went 1 for 10 last night. It's that Matt Olson's hitting 202, Austin Riley's hitting 226. And Mr. Acuna MVP is hitting 245. And so when you've got an entire half of your lineup, 1, 3, and 4 of your lineup not getting the job done, even with Ozzie Albies being pretty hot before the injury and since he's come back from the injury, you aren't going to create runs. And the defense, or excuse me, the bottom of the order isn't turning over to creating offense. That's the bad news in the moment. The good news is, you've got other guys that are playing well. Travis d'Arnaud's hitting the heck out the ball. We know that Marcell Ozuna still leads the National League in RBI, is tied for the league lead in home runs, even though he hasn't gone yard in a couple days. And Orlando Arcia looks like he's going to find his way back to an all-star game. So, yes, it's worrisome in the moment, but with the understanding that it's a long season, guys go through slumps. It just happens to be at the start of the season, but I mean, are you sitting here, Rob, and telling me you don't think Austin Riley will figure it out? You don't think Matt Olson will figure it out? You don't think Ronald Acuna figure it out? You do, and that's why you're not panicking, because when they do get going, forget about going 19-10, 19-11. It's going to go 19-3, 19-4, something like that. I mean, they're going to roll off 20-win month after 20-win month if these guys do get going. So, yeah, I share the same concerns as you do in the moment, but with the understanding that it's going to even out, and when it does, the entire world of baseball needs to look out.
I've talked about that on this show, Abe, on my Saturday show on the BetQL network. The fact that when I look at where the Braves are, and this is a team they've had a good 9 out of 10. They've also at a spot now where they are 6-4 in the last 10, and suddenly the Philadelphia Phillies find themselves just a half game back in the NL East. I have said, yeah, on one hand, that's not a great look. I know we're coming up on 30 games into a very, very long baseball season. A lot of baseball left to be played. We have seen with, say, Chicago last year, Seattle last year, one game can make a difference. A lot of teams last year missed by a single game. So there's a little balance between the later in the season you allow Philly to stay in the back pocket, the worse it is. On the flip side, you just mentioned my biggest concern, which is Matt Olson is not threatening to lead the MLB in home runs again this year. Ronald Acuna, Mookie Betts is dusting him for NL MVP at this point. And again, we're not even 20% of the way into the baseball season. But when these guys are 30 games deep and haven't figured it out yet, is there a point where you go, the shine came off the apple a little bit? Maybe last year you just happened to have the stars align for a constellation of great players to do great things, and now they've all kind of come back to the mid.
Well, with all due respect to Marcell Ozuna, he was hitting 079 last year throughout the first month. So we're at that point where he was hitting 079, and then he turned it on to hit nearly 40 home runs and is really not slowed down since then. I don't see how it's any different for these guys. We've already seen Matt Olson go through an extended slump 2 years ago or last year, whenever it was, where he hit like one home run in 18 or 19 games. And so, yeah, I mean, you look at it, but I don't feel like everything's lost and they won't turn it on. It's unfortunate it happens at the start of the year because there's a little bit more panic because you haven't seen it yet. It just feels like they haven't locked in. And sometimes you lose focus from time to time. It kind of gets buried if you've already hit the 20 home run plateau. But doing so where you've got one home run, if you're Ronald Acuna Jr., just a couple. You know, Austin Riley keeps missing them, going to warning track power there against the Marine layer. But, yeah, I don't think it's anything that I'm overly extendedly worried about. I think it's just the weird timing of the season. If this is a slump that happens in mid-July into early August and then he turns it back on by then, it's just the ups and downs of the season. But because it's the start of the season and you haven't had the ups yet, it just feels like a down. And I think it will equalize itself over the course of the next couple of months.
We're talking with Abe Gordon, host of the Abe TL show on 92.9 The Game in the ATL. The bats being cold right now. And I've talked about this. Listen, like Spencer Strider goes down with the elbow injury. Max Fried, since that, has been remarkable. That dime that he pitched at home last week was one of the most dominant pitching performances, a game that lasted under 2 hours because of how efficient he was. He comes back out in the last one, doesn't get the win, but gives up what? I think he gave up 1 hit or 2 hits in a 6-inning performance. But the pitching is fine. I don't think it's going to be as stellar as we would have liked if Spencer Strider was good. I think there's still going to be questions about the 5-hole in that rotation. But this is a team that is built to be carried by the offense. Is what we're seeing now, which unfortunately is kind of reminiscent of what we've seen against the Phillies the last 2 years in the playoffs. Is this going to be a problem for the Braves in the postseason? Because I still think they're making it. But if this is what the Braves are in the most pressure moments, is there a sense of impending doom for you?
No. I think if we get to August and Ronald Acuna's hitting 245 and Matt Olson's hitting 202 and Austin Riley's hitting 230, then you start to have those conversations. But, I mean, for me, we all know teams can get hot and go cold at the right or wrong time, and it will cost you the season. And for the Braves the past couple of years, whether it's because you've had a first-round bye, whether it's just playoff pitching, whatever the case may be, they have gotten cold on offense at the wrong time. And so is that a trend? Is that a situation you're worried about? Potentially, but not because they're having a slow offensive start now. For all we know, it might actually be better served for them to be in a battle throughout the course of the year as opposed to blowing out the Phillies. So it remains to be seen. But no, I mean, I'm still taking it relatively calm and cool. I mean, you're still 8 or 9 games above 500. You're still among the best teams in baseball record-wise. And you haven't gotten going yet. Like when you look at what the Phillies are doing, they're averaging 6.1 runs a game right now. And you're like, great. Like, can they keep this up? This is probably the best they're going to be. That's what's exciting about Atlanta having 19 wins right now, nearly setting a franchise record for wins in the month of April, even though we're all doom and gloom. They've never had 20. It is that we know we're not anywhere close to peaking. We know this is nowhere nearly as good as this offense can look and ideally will look. And I think that's what we're all holding on to in terms of not showing much panic is like, all right, Phillies, like, do your thing. This is the best month you've had in franchise history. Guess what? We're barely playing anywhere close to our potential, and this is you guys peaking. And when push comes to shove over the course of the season, we do think that we will overtake you guys when our guys start to get right, and I do believe they will get right.
Abe Gordon from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta talking to us here on the Rob Brown Show about a little bit of Atlanta Braves baseball. I was talking about Seattle on the show after the 2-1 L a couple of nights ago that AJ Minter ended up getting charged with. And I think to me, Abe, when I look back at that, one of the things I want to do more this year is put into perspective the opponents in situations like this one. This is a Seattle team that for the last couple of years has been flirting with success. This is a Seattle team that's got some great players like Julio Rodriguez on it. This is a Seattle team that is currently leading the AL West. That is an AL West that includes the Houston Astros, who, yeah, I stuck them in the grave preseason. I think the dynasty is cooked, but it's still a good team. A division that has the reigning defending undisputed World Series champion, the Texas Rangers, in it, and yet the Seattle Mariners are on top of that division. You go back a series before that, you took on the AL leading Cleveland Guardians. You took 2 out of 3 from them. You go back before that, a very bad Miami team. You won 3 out of that. Series before that, 2 out of 3 against those Rangers. Series before that, swept the Astros. I think it's a good sign, Abe, that the Braves lose 2 in a row against the division leading team, and we're concerned. And we don't consider the fact that you swept Houston. You don't consider the fact 2 out of 3 against Texas, all 3 against Miami, 2 out of 3 against the AL leading Guardians. If you can take that stretch of success and get worried about 2 games in a row to a division leader, Abe, your team's probably in a pretty good shot.
Well, look, this is the first time the Braves have lost 2 in a row this season. They're the last team in baseball to be able to claim that. Now everyone across the league has at least a 2-game losing streak at some point already this season. And so, yeah, you're right. You look at this and, this Seattle team does kind of remind me a little bit of the Ned Yost Kansas City Royals teams a little bit. They're not – they do have Julio Rodriguez. They're not led by major star power, though, outside of him. Just a lot of guys that play good defense, can get timely hitting, and that's what they've done in this series. And I think you do tip your cap to them. But here's the thing, Rob. You're heading out to L.A. to face the Dodgers this weekend, and it's a situation like we're all panicking about Seattle. What happens if you take 2 or 3 for them, or gosh forbid, you run the gamut and take all 3? I mean, we're back to beating our chest, saying we're unbeatable, the best team in baseball. Who wants us come October? And so, yeah, I mean, with the ups and downs, the goal is to win series. You didn't do that here. There's no denying that. But it's really tough to look at a 2-game stretch where you're still among the league leaders in baseball in multiple statistics, including win-loss record, and really dial up any concern. I just the pieces are there for you to be worried, but it's just too long of a season for me to really think it won't even out. And until proven otherwise, like, that's kind of what I'm relying on.
Abe Gordon hosts the Abe TL show in 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. Another minute or 2 here with Abe before we move on. We were talking about Philly. We were talking about, and I love what you just said, Philly's having the absolute run of the last couple of years for them out of the gate. Very, very hot right now. Atlanta playing mediocre baseball and yet still holds the division league. Obviously, the Braves are very tired of dropping L's to Philly down the stretch. But I think the last couple of years, this was a team in Atlanta that put the division title into their backpack weeks before the end of the season. You weren't throwing pitchers for the same amount of time you need them for in the playoffs, so they maybe lost a little bit of stamina. If guys had a slight bruise on the pinky toe, they would sit out a couple of games to make sure they were 100% going into the playoffs. Do you think that has maybe factored into the mentality of Brian Snicker? Let's talk end of the season. If the Braves do it again, if they are up 6, 7, 8 games on Philly with 4, 5, 6 left to play, do you think the Braves team keeps the accelerator masked all the way till the end of the season this year to try to prevent that from happening again?
I think there's a slight misconception about that, and I don't blame you because sometimes I get caught with it too. Remember, 2 years ago, the Braves had to sweep the Mets in 4 games to pull that division away from New York. Now, last year was a different story. That they certainly did run away with it, but I think the key cog in both of those years wasn't what happened at the end of the regular season. It was what happened in the first week of the postseason, and that was that they were seeded to the point where they had a first-round bye. And it's a situation that I looked at. They tried to address that last year. They tried to bring up some minor leaguers, play simulated games, kind of stay in that mindset. And you know what? It still got them bounced in their first round. And so I think that's the key for them. How do you stay hot between the end of the regular season and the start of your playoff run? And they're to the point where there are people suggesting, hey, maybe they shouldn't be the 1 seed. Like maybe that's not a concern. And if the Dodgers get 105 and you get 102 and you're playing baseball immediately, maybe that's actually better for you. I mean, look, it all remains to be seen because once you start that playoff run, you are in danger of being sent home. And so in my mind, it's still better to not have to worry about that immediately and let a couple teams get sent home first. But maybe that is part of the issue. But they've got to figure out a way to bridge the end of the regular season, stay at the momentum that they have throughout the regular season, and carry that into their first postseason games. Because those 3, 4, 5, 6 days off seem to have really impacted them the past 2 years.
Abe freaking Gordon joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. He hosts the Abe TL Show on 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. Also works pre- and post-game for Atlanta United, host and produce on 92.9 The Game. You can follow him on Twitter /X/ whatever we're calling it today at Abe Gordon. My dude, you're the best, big dog. Appreciate you coming on the late notice, brother.
Yeah, man, happy to do it. Are you devastated that the Falcons jumped up and stole Michael Penix from the Saints?
Let me ask you a question. I'm not. Let me ask you a question. How many media folks in Atlanta are defending that pick? Because wildly, as a Saints fan and a Falcons hater, I have been defending that pick since last Thursday. Am I the only one doing that?
No, and I am not, by the way. I'm not one of those people. But the premise of defending that pick, because you should like the pick. Like a lot of people like the pick. I don't necessarily hate the pick, but to me the concern was, and I don't care that Kirk Cousins has a hurt feeling. Like whatever, get over it. Like every team has a backup quarterback. Every team has the guy that's trying to take your job. So that's all nonsense. The thing to me is I was led to believe, or at least I thought we were all led to believe by the Falcons organization that the Falcons were all in to win right now. And my biggest frustration with the pick is you can't claim that. You can't claim that when a guy that you picked isn't going to impact the team ideally for at least 2, maybe 3 years. And so it's a good pick. You've extended this team's window to potentially win the NFC South. I was hoping for a little bit bigger aspirations, and quite frankly, I don't know if they can reach those anymore.
See, I disagree. I think he can. I think it gives you the back out clause in case Kirk Cousins' rubber band Achilles pops again. I think the fact that he's 36 years old last year, there were 4.
If all of that's the concern, you can't pay him $100 million guaranteed.
Oh no! Listen, I'm more upset about the $100 million than I am about the pick of Michael Penix Jr. Just so we're clear.
I just don't know who's playing cornerback opposite AJ Terrell, and that feels like something you could have solved.
That's fair. That's fair.
We didn't get an alpha pass rusher, and maybe none of the guys that are in this draft are going to be alpha pass rushers, but someone from this draft is going to work out in terms of the pass rush. I don't know if it's Verse or Turner or Byron Murphy or Latu, but someone's going to work out, and you didn't even try.
I was just about to tell you, Jared Verse, as a Saints fan, would have scared the dog bleep out of me if he ended up in Atlanta, dude.
I mean, we were trying to push for a bunch. And look, they were trying to trade back in, but it's still like it's not win now. That's for sure. They're going to try to, but it's not at all cost. There's no doubt about that.
Abe, appreciate you, big dog. Thanks for doing it. We'll do it again soon, pal.
Enjoyed it, Rob, as always. Thanks.
Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game of the ATL. Follow him on X at Abe Gordon. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, let me step away for 30 seconds. Brandon, good to see you, brother. Miss you, big dog. I'll text you after the show. I may be home soon. Be right back. Should rephrase that. I may be home soon with some time to come out and play, not working. That's what I should have said.
DQ presents how to officially start your summer. Step 1, head to the perfect spot to kick off the season, DQ. Step 2, try the new Summer Blizzard menu. I mean, summer is right there in the name. In Step 3, dig into flavors like new peanut butter cookie dough party, new picnic peach cobbler, and more. Because with treats like these, every bite feels like you're starting summer off right. But don't wait. These flavors are only around when the summer is. Make the season official with the new Summer Blizzard menu. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Hey everyone, Boomer Esiason here. The NFL draft is behind us. Your favorite team is now gearing up for week number 1. The free Odyssey app puts you right in the middle of the pro football conversation.
Shane, I do every single morning from 6 to 10 a.m. along with the great Malonzo.
What, be awesome?
No, he asked if I come here often, cutie. So I said, yes, I do.
They just made the announcement over there. That's why I was texting. Tim was asking me a question.
What announcement?
About the lineup change.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs. From quick repairs.
He wasn't sure exactly when he was going to pull the plug, but apparently it's Monday. So. And Tim found out when Tara announced it. So. Same thing you've always done, I'm guessing. I could be wrong. I mean, you know, get to cut it up with Brandon. Who doesn't want to do that?
Spencer Rattler falls to the New Orleans Saints in the 5th round of the draft.
Did he fall though? I mean, a year ago, if he would have come out, I still believe he wouldn't have been drafted. I think he needed this season, this past year. He needed another year in college football to help his case. And we talked about it a couple years ago when it looked like he might come out. I don't think he would have been drafted. And the fact that he fell, you say he fell, but I think he went right about where a lot of people were projecting him to go as far as round goes.
He, to me, subjective, absolutely did fall. And I've laid out the argument a handful of times. I think Spencer Rattler played behind 5 wet paper towels of an offensive line this year. I think Spencer had one guy to get the ball to, Xavier Legette, who did go in the first round to, obviously, the Carolina Panthers. But since I have answered that question, instead will let Adam Schefter answer that question.
You know what I think it was with Spencer Rattler more than anything else? The 2 teams that liked him most, in my mind, based on the people I spoke to, were the Denver Broncos and the Atlanta Falcons. And I think they had a mid-second, early third-round grade on him. And Spencer Rattler's big problem there was that the Broncos went Bo Nix at 12, the Falcons went Michael Penix at 8, and his 2 best options closed up immediately, which left him sitting on the board longer than a lot of people think. I think that had as much to do with it as anything else. You could talk about all the other factors, but there were some people on some teams, and I know this because I asked them before the draft, how high do you think Spencer Rattler's going to go? Mid-second, early third. Well, the problem was 2 potential landing spots closed up really quick, and that caused him, in my mind, to slide further than a lot of people thought he would.
Okay, so because quarterbacks that other teams thought were better than him drafted quarterbacks ahead of him, that caused him to slide. Wow, that was profound. Because if I'm a quarterback and they pick a quarterback ahead of me, then I didn't go there, so that moved me down. That's like, wow, I'm just blown away about how amazing that was.
The thought was that,
and he read it so well, exactly how the NFL told him to do it.
You're being sarcastic about it, and I understand it because that's the primary language of this show. We're both very fluent. But I think the point
English is my second language. I don't know what you're talking about. No, this bothers me because
hang on, let me address it.
That was a very political answer. He didn't really say anything.
It was.
Oh, absolutely.
If you look at it on surface value, it was. But if you actually, I think if you take a second and break it down, it doesn't. We knew teams needed a quarterback. We knew Chicago needed a quarterback. They got one. We knew Washington needed a quarterback. They got one. We know Minnesota needed a quarterback. They got one. We know Denver needed a quarterback. They got one. We knew New England needed a quarterback. They got one. We knew the Raiders needed a quarterback. They did not got one, and it is very interesting that he did not end up in that spot. We thought the Giants needed a quarterback, but the fact that they went with the wide receiver out of the gate showed that they are clearly still in on Danny Dimes. And then outside of that, everybody else was looking for, at the very best, a backup quarterback. The Bills could be looking for a backup quarterback, but Mitch Trubisky is on that list. There are some people who think that Mitch Trubisky has been a victim of circumstance, especially when he was in Chicago. So maybe they don't feel like Spencer Rattler was going to be an immediate upgrade over Mitch Trubisky. The Jets have Tyrod Taylor backing up Aaron Rodgers. Tyrod Taylor has actually been very good when he hasn't had teams sticking needles into his damn lungs and puncturing them. The Baltimore Ravens have Josh Johnson as the backup, but they also have Tyler Huntley in reserve. They sent Tyler Huntley to Cleveland, who probably needed a quarterback, but they got their guy. You got the Tennessee Titans right now, but they've got Will Levis and Malik Willis on the roster. The point here is that once the biggest need teams all took first-round quarterbacks, and at some degree of shock value, I'll defend the pick. But yes, it was a shock that the Falcons went QB at 8. I will not defend the pick. And it was also a shock that the Denver Broncos went Bo Nix at 12. But once those guys came off the board, the thought going into the draft, and I actually accept this as the truth, was that you would see Michael Penix and Bo Nix slide back in the first round because nobody thought those guys were justified top 10 or, in this case, top 12 picks. Thought they would be off the board like 15 to 20, somewhere in that range. And so you would end up in a spot where a team like Minnesota and a team like Denver would look at that and go, no, we need a quarterback, but it's too high for these guys. So let's hold off and see who's maybe left in the second and third round, and bang, there's Spencer Rattler available for you. Not only did I agree that Spencer Rattler was a second or third round guy, I said the week before the draft, I think he's a second round pick. And for this exact reason, if Atlanta and Denver don't shock everybody, because again, even though I'll defend the Penix pick, I would be lying to tell you it wasn't a shocking pick even to me, though I defend it. When those guys shocked people by taking Penix and Bo Nix dramatically higher than we thought they were going to, it created a situation where the only team, to me, that is shocking, and a texter just texted and agreed with the whole thing. He said, quote, "I'm still shocked that the Raiders did not grab Spencer Rattler." I agree.
By the way, I really like Spencer Rattler. What I'm saying is what Schefter said doesn't make sense, because there were second round picks, there were third round picks. All those teams that needed a quarterback could have picked them there, and they did not.
Had one. They already got one. The Falcons didn't need to draft a quarterback after they got Michael Penix Jr., which the Falcons in the second round would have been a perfect landing spot.
I understand what you're saying. So all those rounds have better players when you're taking best available, because some of those guys were going best available. Some of those teams are saying that Spencer Rattler wasn't best available at the time.
No, I don't think that's
so. That means they didn't have the same grade on him that you did.
Okay, what I'm saying is this. There was a select group of teams who needed a quarterback. I just listed them off. You're talking Chicago, Washington, New England, Atlanta, Minnesota, Denver, Vegas.
No, Atlanta didn't need a quarterback.
Atlanta, in my opinion, absolutely did. Which is why I said, again, leading up to the draft, Atlanta is a spectacular landing spot for Spencer Rattler in the second, at the least if he drops the third round. But Atlanta got Michael Penix Jr. I didn't think they were going to do that. That's why I led up to that thought. If they didn't get Michael Penix Jr., then Spencer Rattler in round 2 to Atlanta would have been exactly what I expected. But once they have a quarterback, there's not just no reason. There are very good reasons not to take another quarterback. And the list of teams that did not need a quarterback, because yes, all those teams said, we don't believe Spencer Rattler is better than the guy we have at number 2 right now. And that's understandable.
So, by the way, in the end, Spencer Rattler ended up in one of the best places that he could have ended up
100%.
at. And I am excited for you and excited for him. I just think Schefter said absolutely nothing.
No, I think what Schefter said absolutely makes sense if you look at it the way I'm looking at it, which is all the teams that needed quarterbacks got one out of the way immediately. Nobody thought it had never been done before that you were going to have 6 quarterbacks off the board in the first dozen picks, because it's never happened before that many go that quick. And once all those teams that had to have one got theirs in the first 12 picks, now all of a sudden it's teams going, all right, does this guy replace better? Because it's not just about, can Spencer Rattler come in and be better than the guy we have at 2? It's, can he come in, be better than the guy we have at 2? And we see so much value in him that we don't want to take a cornerback or an offensive lineman or a linebacker that we know will slide in to be a starter. The landing spot in New Orleans is great for Spencer Rattler. It's a wonderful spot for him, especially if Dennis Allen gets his ass fired, as he should at the end of this year.
How many?
But there was a lot of teams, bang, back in the league. There was a lot of teams out there that could have gone with Spence, but did not see the value in Spence to not take another position. Teams like Atlanta and New England, if they traded back, all those teams were landing spots in round 2 or 3, which is why I thought he would go in round 2 or 3. Let's take a break. We're back after this. We can talk more about that and more. Mario, Hating-Ass Mario, joins us at 9 on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
It's pretty sad that me going back into the loser column made me forget what I was going to say. So disappointed in myself, my mind just went completely blank.
Hit the restroom, BRB, guys.
I think he could, Trey, because I still don't think this was a great crop of quarterbacks. We'll find out.
come in the fall as part of the playoff. Hamlin and William Byron are the series leaders with 3 victories apiece. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Tony Naziri, and that's your Sports Flash on The Fan Upstate.
Up to the minute, upstate traffic. The Cordell and Cordell traffic cam shows southbound 85 starting to pick up speed right after Nazareth Road and still backed up to I-26 Spartanburg. Don't get comfortable, though. A crash southbound 85 around Brockton McClyman drops you to 20 miles an hour, and that backup is 5 miles. So basically, southbound 85 is a parking lot between Spartanburg and Greenville. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on The Fan Upstate.
Hey everyone, it's Boomer Esiason here. Superchargers, headlights, and more with over 122 million parts. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Stay on your game, all with the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Shop our best savings of the season during Springfest at Lowe's. Right now, save on stage leading 1 cubic foot garden soil. Get 5 bags for just $10. And buy 2 select paints and exterior stains.
Do TV studios say, no, you can't wear that because it makes you clash with everybody else?
Yes.
Because she's wearing yellow pants and red, which looks fine on her, but it makes everybody else look drab in comparison. And it just, and you automatically, you're drawn to her no matter what, no matter who's speaking. And I was curious if
in my experience, I will say this, it is, I don't know if this is one of the double standards or not. In my experience, more often than not, they will have a dude change before they ask a woman to change to not clash. Or they will ask you if you're going to do that to wear something that matches.
See, look, yeah. I mean, she's
vibrant.
She's making it work. Most people, I don't think, can pull off yellow pants. She's doing it, but compared to everybody else, I love her, by the way. Yeah, she is excellent. But compared to everybody else, your eyes, boom, right there.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is why you're seeing a lot of dudes in the game start to try to be more trendy and fashionable when they do shows like this. So that they do stand out in a situation like this. Like, you're right, everybody else kind of fades into the background. When I was working on a news desk, like I would anchor Saturday mornings, and very frequently, if I had a female co-anchor and we wore something that dramatically clashed, they would ask me to go change my tie or go change my jacket or whatever I needed to. The Rob Brown Show continues. It is the Fan Upstate, ladies and gentlemen. Texture said we need Lonzo and some banana pants.
I'll be rocking them pants like nobody's business.
One of the ladies on one of the
I think it's Monica
Talking Head shows wearing very bright neon yellow pants this AM, which Lonzo correctly and obligatory commented on. And now I absolutely agree. We need Lonzo in some bright ass yellow pants.
Don't make it sound a certain way.
No, not like that. Just the fact that she jumped off the screen at us.
Yeah, I was asking because Rob has worked in TV. I wondered if they say, hey, you cannot clash with everybody else.
Yeah.
Because immediately your eyes go to her, which is awesome for her. But I think it takes away from it. I just wanted to hear some behind the scenes stuff.
I have worked in television in the past, and I will tell you that more often than not, in a situation like that, if there was a clash with another person, like none of these guys are clashing, the fellows are just in gray, and
they're drab in comparison to what she's wearing. Yeah.
If you do wear something, because I this may shock you a little bit. When I worked in TV, I was always wearing colored shirts, bright yellow, bright purple, whatever. My news director at the time absolutely hated it. But at the same time, a lot of people came on. It was like finally somebody with a personality.
By the way, since we moved to mornings, you've been, I'd have to interrupt you here since we've been, it just hit you like a blow, not like a baseball player throwing, because you would have ducked that. You've been kind of subdued as far as what you're wearing. Your colors are more muted. There's not we haven't seen the Tinky Winky shirt. I mean, there's just so many And I didn't really think about it till now.
All right, there's two reasons for that. Number one is,
are you in mourning that we moved to the morning, or is it?
There's two reasons for it. The first is that ordinarily that stuff, the colors and stuff come when I'm like feeling real good and alive. And at 7:30 in the morning, I'm a little bit more alive and awake than I am at 3:30 in the morning. A, B, most of
You
that
would
stuff,
think the loud colors you could see them better 3:30 in the morning.
Nope,
I
doesn't
just
matter. 3:30 in the morning.
You
I
don't pick your
have-
outfit out the night before?
No, I do not.
Why?
I do not. I barely pick my outfit at before I'm leaving for the office. There's a reason hockey jerseys are heavy in the rotation for Rob Brown because they're easy. Second thing is most of the bright clothing fit me when I was just a wee bit less sturdy than I am now.
I apologize for that. So what you're saying in your current state, what you're heading for, and doing a fine job, you're going to be able to wear those
They'll
again.
be coming back.
Okay.
100%.
All right.
The
All right.
bright yellows and purples will be coming back.
All right.
Speaking of, what a hell of a segue, great one. Speaking of loud fashion, there's no better place to put on display the full peacock, the full vibrant beauty of the world of fashion than a stellar Kentucky Derby party. And my guy, Michael Pius, executive director of the First Tee of the Upstate, is going to be throwing a whale of a Kentucky Derby party this Saturday at Floor Field. You're going to watch the Derby on the biggest TV in the Upstate if you attend. Mike, what's up, my guy?
How's it going? Yeah, we're pumped for this weekend. It's Derby weekend. You got to get that big hat or that fascinator, I guess is the new kind of fashion recently over the past few years for the ladies.
The what now?
It's like a clip-on like side hat deal, I believe.
Looks
I don't know.
like
You
flowers.
gotta ask the
It looks like flower. Clip-on side, big old flowers. When I looked it up, it's interesting. Looks like something they wore in the 20s.
First off,
yeah, I think that's the thing now for the ladies.
You could do
the big hats are welcome too.
Yeah, you could do the Charleston while wearing that. I'm thinking.
That's quick research from the great one, by the way. Michael Pius, executive director of the First Tee of the Upstate, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. The Kentucky Derby party for First Tee is going on this weekend. Talk to me a little bit about this event, because I know you guys have been putting it on for years now. I know it's an incredibly successful event every year. Tell people a little bit about what this event is.
Yeah, this is the 9th annual Kentucky Derby party. We've kind of bounced around to some different spots. This is our second time having it at Floor Field. There's 3 ticket options. There's the designated driver ticket. So if you're not interested in enjoying any mint juleps or any cocktails, we've got that at $50. That gets you into the party. Then we got our general admission ticket that gets you all the mint juleps you want, full bar, stadium seating to watch the most exciting 2 minutes in sports, and then also a $15 Uber credit. So if you do need a trip back and forth from your house, you'll get a $15 Uber credit with that. Then we also have our VIP Millionaires Row ticket, and this has got a lot. It's got all the stuff that the general admission ticket has, but also an extra hour with a signature bourbon tasting by Maker's Mark. We're super pumped to have them as one of our sponsors. Great bourbon tasting. They'll go through a couple different flights with you in that hour before, so from 4 to 5. We originally were promoting that as on the rooftop of the Greenville Drive building. Now we're going to move it into the Champions Club just because of the weather forecast, but also top shelf liquor selection at a VIP bar, limited edition First Tee Derby pin, and then also a raffle ticket into a trip to Nashville for a 3-day, 2-night stay in Nashville, and then $25 Uber credit. So if you got a longer drive into Floor Field, we'll take care of that for you. So we try to, every year we try to make this bigger and better with more auction items, more really fun experiences to bid on. We've got tickets to the PGA Championship at Valhalla. We've got trips to Cabo, Alaska. We've got a dinner for 8 at Sobeys in Sobeys Wine Cellar. We've got spa packages because, the following week is Mother's Day. So you want to make sure that you get your Mother's Day gift early here. You got some great packages and things that you can bid on for the ladies too. So yeah, it's gonna be a great event.
I feel like you just listed enough prizes that everybody at the daggum party might win something. Michael Pice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've got close to 100 items now on our auction. Everything from a new lawnmower. We've got rounds of golf at Chanticleer, the best private club in the upstate. We got Carolina Country Club over in Spartanburg. That's another top tier country club. We've even got 2 foursomes down at Palmetto Dunes in Hilton Head. We've got so much stuff. You can just get on our website, which is 2024derby.givesmart.com, or you can go to our First Tee website, which is firstteeupstate.org/derby, and then that'll direct you to the auction link. But all kinds of stuff. We got gear. We've got. You can get the inside of your home painted. We got all kinds of different auction items.
We are talking to Michael Pius, executive director of the First Tee of the Upstate, their Kentucky Derby party going on this Saturday at Floor Field. And Mike, I'm not saying that people should go follow your social media on First Tee of the Upstate on Facebook and at First Tee Upstate on Twitter, because maybe or maybe not there's going to be something special happening on those social media pages later on, but they definitely should.
Yes, we've got a promotion today before 4:00. If you get on our social media, Facebook specifically, get on our Facebook page. You can like and share, comment on the latest post, and that'll put you in an entry to get to general admission. Yeah.
We are talking with Michael Pius, executive director of the First Tee of the Upstate. Again, their Kentucky Derby party going on this Saturday. It's a fabulous event. And I'm going to tell you, Mike, I don't mean to rain on the parade here. I'm not a big Derby guy. Like I've never been around horse racing. It's never really been my bag. You know what I am a fan of is a killer party, man. And unfortunately, I've not been able to make one. Relatively sure this Saturday I am, and I am looking forward to it because everyone I've talked to that has come to this thing has said it is a tremendous party, and also there's a fun little horse race that happens after it.
Yeah. You don't have to be into horses and all that. We get a lot of people that get all dressed up for it and get all into it, and they don't even know what horse is racing, but they do want to support the First Tee and what our mission of impacting kids' lives and creating fun and unique experiences for our kids to build their inner strength. That's what we're all about. A lot of your listeners have probably seen our commercials, on the Golf Channel or during a PGA Tour event, but we're all about the life skills and teaching the life skills and just giving some more structure in these kids' lives and how they can pursue their goals and grow through challenges, and collaborate with others and build positive self-identity and how to use good judgment. Those are the things that we focus on here at the First Tee. So if you care about kids and their development, come out to the Derby party. You don't have to be a horse racing fan. You just got to be a fan of our mission and supporting these young kids across the upstate. And then you're going to have a good time at the same time. So you're going to enjoy some mint juleps and bid on some auction items. Also, we've got Jared Emerson. I forgot to mention that. We got Jared Emerson coming to paint. And if you haven't seen him paint before, he paints with his hands. Sometimes the painting is upside down and then he flips it around. He does it in like 8 to 10 minutes. It's amazing show. And then we're going to auction that off right on the spot right there. So you got to come and see what he paints and then put a bid down on it. And it's one of those things that you'll put up in your house and it'll be such an amazing talking point. People come over and enjoy, a dinner at your house and you can say, hey, I had this guy paint this in front of me for me in 8 minutes. And it's a great talking point. So we got a lot of great things going on at the Derby party. Again, it's 4 to 5 is the VIP hour, and then 5 to 7:30 is the general admission part of the event. I think post time is like 6:57. So we got plenty of time to have some cocktails, bid on some items before the big race, close to 7 o'clock.
The First Tee of the Upstate. First Tee, an incredible organization that teaches kids life lessons, hard work, dedication, et cetera, and at the same time makes the incredible game of golf more accessible to youth across the Upstate and across the nation. It has been a pleasure to get to work with Mike, with First Tee of the Upstate, with First Tee of Northwest Florida when I lived down there. It's an organization I very much believe in, very much endorse, very much support, and I hope you guys will turn out to the Derby party Saturday. My guy, great to have you back on, buddy. Let's go swing some sticks soon, pal.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Rob.
You know it. Michael Pius, Executive Director of the First Tee of the Upstate here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I even told Michael yesterday that I was going to say it because, hey, at the end of the day, I got to be me. I don't get the Derby. Here's the thing. None of y'all care about the Derby. And I get so sick and tired of people pretending every year that it's some grandiose calendar event that they look for. Oh, it's the Derby. You going to the Nobody cares about the Derby. You know what I care about? The party. You know what I realized I am when I was talking about this with Mike yesterday and setting this whole thing up? I came to the realization, great one, that I am your buddy's wife that comes to the Super Bowl party. Or your girl's husband that comes to the Super Bowl party and just does not care about the game. They're just like, yo, big group of people, a lot of social activities, good food, good drink, a solid party beats everything else, except for I win because the Derby lasts 2 minutes, and then we all get to go back to pretending to stop pretending like we care about horse racing for another 364 days. Because unless you own a horse, you do not care about horse racing.
I don't get the seersucker suits either. I just don't. I mean, why?
I am a fan of seersucker
suits.
But
why? Why?
They're very comfortable. They're very breathable. They're very
Where
flexible.
else? Where else would you wear it?
Seersucker?
Yeah.
Anywhere in the summertime that I have to wear a suit.
Okay.
Anywhere in the summertime I got to wear a suit.
If you say so.
Business events, church, wherever you're going, that you got to wear a suit.
All right.
And it's hotter than hell outside.
Name a place that you're actually going.
You call me out like that. Seersucker.
No, I'm talking about business events. When's the last time you went to a business event?
Sir, I wear dress pants to a business event at least twice a year. At least twice a year.
Okay, and what shirt are you wearing? That would be station logo.
Yeah, with seersucker. It's a great look.
No.
In fact,
no.
I'm going to go right now. Wear a white seersucker blue pinstripes along with our blue polo. That might be the look for Saturday.
It did be better than khakis. That's for sure.
Yes, I agree. Seersucker is untouchable. Yes. The only problem is you're obviously limited in the season you can wear seersucker. But if you what you're telling me right now.
So you really care about what season something is and whether you should wear it or not.
It would be like wearing shorts when it's snowing outside. It's not appropriate.
I would call that Ohio.
You would. Not appropriate. All right? It's not appropriate.
Perfectly fine.
Just like Floridians would wear tank tops to a funeral. It's not appropriate. I know it's fine for your people, but it's not appropriate.
Where's the funeral at? I mean, if it's in Florida, if it's 99 degrees outside and it's really humid, why do you need to wear a suit?
If I kick it early, you're all welcome to wear a tank top to my funeral. I don't care. I'll be dead. I don't care.
I'm going to wear a half shirt and just let my midriff go.
Crop top Zoe is a Zoe we don't need. There's a lot of versions of Zoe that I like. Crop top Zoe's not.
While I'm crying, all the blubber's just going to be shaking. It's going to be nasty.
All right. We got a bunch of responses to the Spencer Rattler conversation. Andrew said, I don't understand why Las Vegas did not grab him. Raider Harry jumped in here. Good time to see you, Raider Harry. Been a hot minute. He said, because the Raiders took the best player in the draft and weren't interested in the 10th best quarterback. He also goes on to say, with online gambling, everyone loves the Derby. I'm not going to lie. I do have a wager down on the Derby. That is absolutely true.
After all that, I can't stand it. Really? After all that, you put money down.
Because, Lonzo, what do I care about more than anything else in the world?
Well, money. I get that.
Winning.
Well, there's that. But
winning.
Yeah. Okay.
Now the Derby's interesting.
What's your winning horse?
I don't
Do you even remember? You don't even remember the name.
Yeah, Mark Shelley gave me a name of the horse. He was like, bet on this guy. He's going to win. I was like, done. That's the most research I've done.
Did you ask Mark how well he usually does on picking?
Mark is the exception to the rule. He's a pony guy. Like, he watches and bets on races all the time. So he's like, well, this guy, it's going to rain. This guy runs well in mud. Last 2 mud tracks, he did this and this. And this other horse that is a predicted favorite in the last 3 mud tracks, he's done this and this. And they did this. And when he matches and when he's in the inside lane, he does it. Like,
so he's equivalent of the guy when we went to horse racing a couple of times back in Ohio, because there was one on the outskirts of Columbus, and one of the cashiers was dating this guy, and short, squat, cigar, hat, the whole it looked exactly like a movie depiction of that guy, and he won us some money.
Yeah, there's always that.
He wouldn't give us too much. He gave us just a little bit, so we could do the $1, $2 bet thing, and we were working at a grocery store, so that was still a lot.
Hey man, I don't bet big dollars.
Love that guy.
I bet fun dollars.
That guy knew what he was talking about.
All right, let's take a break, my friends. When we come back, hating-ass Mario from the BetQL Network going to join us to talk a little NBA playoff basketball, and then we will send you home on the midweek edition of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Before we get to Mario, however, his cohort, his executive producer-in-chief, the great Lonzo, does a sports flash.
We're all equals, man. I don't know. It must be, on the other side, it's hierarchy or something. With less than 30 seconds left in game 5 between the 76ers and Knicks, it felt like the Sixers season was over, but no. Tyrese Maxey took over with 7 points in the final half minute of regulation, including back-to-back threes. The Sixers erased a 6-point deficit to force overtime and ultimately win 112-106. Maxey finished with 46 points. No Dame, no Giannis, no problem for Milwaukee as they downed Indiana 115-92 last night. Bobby Portis and Chris Middleton both scored 29 points apiece. The Bucks shot over 52% from the floor and 38% from 3. Hey, tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a whole lot of fun. And you know what? It's all Wire to Wire. Yeah, because that doesn't look like fierceness. That looks like feistiness. That's a totally different thing. Although a horse named that would not surprise me, but So which horse would you bet on more, feistiness or fierceness?
Feistiness, because the name's hilarious.
Yeah.
Let's get Mario up in here. Hating-ass Mario. You a Kentucky Derby guy, bud?
Not really. No, can't even take you. Yeah.
Like we always look.
Hey Mario, are horses athletes?
No.
Yeah, thank you. They're the horses. That's what horses do. It doesn't make them an athlete. They're just horses. Are jockeys athletes?
Is a car an athlete?
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. Although I guess jockeys would kind of be athletes because those little guys can really hang on. I've never been on a horse though, so I don't know. It just looks like you really got to hold on. Rob, you're a big horse rider, right?
I will go horseback riding, absolutely.
Is it amazing that jockeys can hang on?
Yeah. Is that like a talent? Well, it is a talent, but
do they work out a lot? Is their upper body strength just really?
Yeah, it's actually legs because you're actually standing in the stirrups.
That makes sense.
And the legs are constantly because you want your upper body to stay still. So you're taking all that shock in the knees and the calves and the thighs and the quads.
So probably a lot of core, right? A lot of core.
What's that?
Yeah, core. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, a lot of core. Yeah.
You know what makes Rob really?
Jockeys are ripped, dude.
You know what makes Rob really good at his job is he's probably making all this up, but it sounds so good.
I'm really
okay. All right.
Listen, my My dislike of a sport does not prevent my knowing of it.
You think Bryce Young is good at riding horses?
You're such a jerk, man. You're such a jerk.
Such a jerk.
There's
That's
no
good,
need for
Murray.
that. No need for Bryce to catch a stray in a derby
a
conversation.
guy in Arizona told us that Kyler Murray's 6 foot tall. On the podcast. He told us Kyler Murray. Yeah,
No way
yeah,
he
it
is.
was,
No way he is.
I will never forget that. It was hilarious. How it was really good how Rob and I kept a straight face when he said it too.
And he was being dead serious. Like he didn't like.
Yeah, he was ready. I stood next to him.
The
That's
roster
what he
lists
said.
him at 5'10". He's like, no, I've stood next to him. He's 6 foot. We were like, yeah, okay, bro.
Sure.
Wow.
For sure.
Nothing says Homer like that, but you
Yeah.
know.
What hill will you die on for your team? Oh, that Kyler Murray's 6 foot. All right.
Yep.
What? Oh yeah, that was nice. That was really nice.
That man yeeted
Was he
himself
safe?
over the tag. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Isn't that? Well, I guess he didn't leave the baseline because he's above it.
You can go over him.
Okay.
Now. You can't go
All
around
right.
him. Spectacular. Is that setting the tone for the inevitable 15 minutes of Mario and Lonzo versus Rob that we're about to engage
You
in?
set it up earlier, so I mean, I'm sure it was going to happen anyway. But you know,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The final hour of the midweek edition of the Rob Brown Show begins right this very second, right here on the Fan Upstate Spectacular to have you all, my dudes and dudettes. And now we welcome on to the broadcast, as we do every Wednesday at this time. He is an NBA analyst for the BetQL Network. He is the executive producer and co-host of Bet for the Cycle, which airs every Saturday on the BetQL Network and 5 Odyssey stations around the country from noon to 4 Eastern. He is hating ass Mario, a.k.a. Mario Heron, joining us here on the show. What's up, big fella?
Pump it up, baby. I mean, we're living the dream. It's sports euphoria right now. Like, it is truly incredible. We have NBA playoffs going on, and every game is just better than the last. I mean, I'm having a blast every single night.
I'm going to give you a chance here to create a little controversy, a little conflict here in the upstate, because yesterday my good buddy, my amigo, my good time boy Diesel said that folks are tuning out right now because, and I quote, all the major sports are either over or playing irrelevant games like Major League Baseball right now. And I was about ready to fist fight him through my radio when he said that. Dude, Major League Baseball is good. The NBA playoffs are good. The Stanley Cup playoffs are good. The NFL draft was good. And now we have rookie camps popping up around the country. This is a spectacular time to be a sports fan.
It's an amazing time. And dude, there's so many storylines just in this first round. Like, you need to tell that person that's a bad opinion. Like, just scream that at him. Like, it's just a bad opinion. You have the Miami Heat versus Boston Celtics. That's terrific history. Mavericks versus Clippers. Great history. You have the Sixers versus Knicks. That's like the two biggest markets in the NBA. And it's been a fist fight the whole time. It's been great this whole, like, even the Cavs and Mavs Cavs versus the Magic that no one really cares about. It's been spectacular. Like, it's been a fight back and forth. Yeah, the Timberwolves versus Suns, that was a good heat. Even the NHL playoffs, like the Leafs versus the Boston Bruins has been a hell of a just storylines going into that one. And I'm starting to love the Toronto, the news over there. Like, the Toronto media makes us look soft, guys. Like, I'll say that right there. Yeah.
They're incredible. Also, I just need to say, because this is an opportune time to do it, I hate Brad Marchand so much. I hate that guy. He might be the only athlete on planet Earth that I actually hate. Like, I dislike Joel Embiid. That dude has lost me as a fan playing the way he's been playing end of the season and into the playoffs so far, which is sad because I've always been a stan. There are guys across the NFL like I'm not a big fan of. I think I actively hate Brad Marchand, man.
You should add Grayson Allen to that list too.
Okay, secondary.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Absolutely.
1A, 1B.
All right, let's talk some NBA basketball, big dog. Let's start with the game that happened last night. You, and I got to give you credit, which I don't do very often, but I will here. You said going into these playoffs, you thought that one of the X factors nobody was talking about might be Tyrese Maxey. 46 and a 40-foot three to send the game to OT, a game that Philly would ultimately win to extend this series to a game 6 back in Philadelphia. That dude was lights out, and Philly last night put up the fight of a century to stay alive.
They were Rocky Balboa last night, baby. Like,
Wait, stop, because once the show, Mario blows a pop culture reference. They were like, who?
Rocky Balboa.
You said now, Lonzo, do you see now why we give this kid so much crap?
You know what? I don't. I think we're having trouble with the audio. We're having trouble with the audio.
It's Balboa.
Oh,
Rocky Balboa.
Dude. It's a fictional character. He's a fictional character.
He is a fictional character who has a statue in Philadelphia.
You know how lucky you are that Cody Decker's not here right now, right?
Yeah.
You're lucky. You know how lucky you are that I'm the nice one, right?
I mean, fair. Like, Bambola, however you want to say it, it's a fictional character in a movie that has a statue and no one knows why in a city.
All right, we should take a bet.
No one knows why. It's one of those popular movie franchises of all time. What do you mean no one knows why?
I mean, yeah, Hoosiers is one of the most popular sports teams of all time, but there's not a statue of Gene Hackman.
No, it's not. Here we go with the
Indianapolis.
Indiana loves basketball more than you crap.
By the way, Hoosiers is my favorite basketball movie of all time. It really is.
Is it
it's
anywhere
good.
near the universe of Rocky?
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No. It's not.
But you get my point.
Anyway,
there's an age gap here. Okay, all right.
It's Rocky.
Yeah, well, there's still an age gap.
Well, it's not a Steve McQueen movie. You know who Steve McQueen is?
Yeah, Steve McQueen's great.
Okay, word. Yeah, for sure.
I'm waiting for you to say, "Oh, what movie was he in?"
Sure.
Yeah,
we all know better. All right, so the Sixers are like Rocky.
Yeah, look, they're like Rocky. We'll stay with Rocky. All right, and they kept fighting last night, and the Tyrese Halliburton thing, like, that was incredible. The thing that the Knicks just really, really can't figure out is an up-top ball screen by Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey just goes straight to the basket. Like, they have no answer for it. They can't figure that out at all. All the guys go to the other side of the court. He takes it to the right, takes it to the left. It's over. That's a thing that will always work for the Sixers, and they were going to it. They went away from him for a little bit in the fourth quarter, and I was sitting there scratching my head like, Nick Nurse, I think you're a god, but hey, let's go back to the thing that's working. They go back to it, and it works. His three-point shooting stepped up. His shot creation has stepped up. He's hard to defend at the rim. And I think what he did that's most important, Rob, is he let Embiid rest on the court. Like, him taking that over, he was able to rest on that court, and you saw that effect later on. In OT, then you see Embiid play amazing rim protecting defense that really slowed down the Knicks. That really helped the Sixers get that little lead that ultimately led to the victory in that game. He swatted the crap out of Brunson. He then made a hard shot for Brunson. Then it contested Hart really well. Like, the things that Maxey does, it helps Embiid take a little bit of break because no one around him is going to give that to him. And first off, that guy doesn't get tired. Like, I just think he has energy. Just his blood's just caffeine and just pumps all throughout his body. That guy does not get tired, which is good because they have no one else they can put in.
Mario Herron from the BetQL Network. Let's talk about Joel Embiid for just a minute, because entered these playoffs and I'm like, my man's playing through a busted up knee. Turns out he's got Bell's palsy. I don't know if you remember, we did the show a couple of years ago when I had it, and it was real hard to talk sports when you can't say a P. Real difficult spot. I was very sympathetic going into this series. And Joel Embiid has not only been playing like Draymond Green caliber dirty basketball, but then after every game, he's been a whiny about everything. Like, have you kind of lost a little bit of love for Joel Embiid this playoffs? Or are you like, okay, it's frustrating, it's pressure, it is what it is?
I'm starting to lose the love. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. The cheap shots, it's not my team, so I don't mind. Like, I kind of like that. In today's NBA, like, that's what we all get. Like, every time I watch the NBA game with my dad, Rob, this is what I get. They don't play hard. These guys, they're just so soft. And I love that because it's like, oh, Dad, are they really soft? Like, here's this guy that you always love, cheap shotting everyone that he can, hitting people in the face. It's, it's what you want. It's creating a rivalry. I'll go for it. But the stuff after the game, I'm like, dude, come on. Like, if you're going to sit there and complain, about fans taking over your stadium, then win more. That's what it is. If you win more, fans come. Win more, play better, they will come. Stop the complaining. I love Embiid. I think he's a hell of a player, but it's really hard the past, 2 to 3 years. Even go back to with him and Jimmy Butler, like through all that stuff. It's been really hard to kind of stand here and be a Joel Embiid stan. It's hard. It's hard, man. Especially if you're feeling it's really hard. Because I think right now we're looking at a Tyrese Maxey team, not a Joel Embiid team.
Talking to Mario Herron from the BetQL Network. We can put the heat culture thing to bed, right? Like Boston, I won so much money last month. I tried to talk you and Deck into tailing me into Boston minus 10.5. You both said no. They won by 20. And I want you to know I'm doing it again in the next one. They're going to win this one by 20 as well. We can put heat culture to bed. What we should be calling it is Jimmy Butler culture.
Yeah, it's time to put him in the bed. It's put him to sleep. My parents did the tucks when he put me to sleep when I was little. So just go ahead and do that with the Celtics. I mean, with the Heat. And I think the Celtics also want to kind of get this over with and move on quick. I think they want to rest. I think they want to sit there and go, all right, let's make sure everyone's 100% before we go into the next round. And, let the Cavs and Magic go 7, which I think it will because they're just trading punches at home. And usually when you have those series, they go 7. I think the Celtics want to go for the rest. They want to save as much energy as possible because if you watch the other series, you're looking at a Knicks and Sixers, both teams are playing a lot of minutes, are going to be exhausted by the end. You look at the other side, Clippers and Mavericks, all players are playing a lot of minutes, they're going to be exhausted by the end. Shoot, even Pacers and Bucks, if you look at that series, you have, Portis, Middleton, Bev, all these guys playing a lot of minutes, and they're old. And when you have guys that play a lot of minutes and they're old, things start hurting a little bit more. Recovery is a little bit longer. That maybe that sleep that you get on planes, not as good sleep anymore. If I'm the Boston Celtics, I want to get this over with. I want to get out from ever facing Miami. I want to get that annoying little brother away, and I want to move on to the next round and focus up on what we have coming next.
All right. Milwaukee without Dame, Milwaukee without Giannis. Go out there last night and smoke the Pacers. Obviously, one of the teams that you cover closer than anybody else because no one loves basketball like people in Indiana do. So the Pacers get smoked by Milwaukee. That series is now 3-2. They've got two more potentially to go in this one. Indiana at this point in the next game favored by 7.5. So if they're a team that can have a 7.5 point line in their next home game, how in the hell did they get waxed by Chris Middleton last night?
It's the problem we've seen all season long. It's been the problem for why people didn't really believe that they could be the underdog team that makes a run. And it's their defense, man. That defense is horrendous. It is so bad. It was bad throughout the year, and it's bad in the playoffs. They're second or last defensive rating in the playoffs during the season. They're second to last in opponent field goal percentage and bottom 3 in defensive rating as well. They should be locking up this team. Like that, there's no excuse for the defense not to look good because, like you said, there's no Dame, there's no Giannis. But then you give guys like Pat Bev life. You give guys like Pat Bev passing lanes. You don't apply enough pressure as you should on a guy like Pat Bev who can't really dribble the ball that well if anyone hasn't noticed yet. You don't put more pressure on Middleton. You kind of let him find his spots, find his groove, and it's hurting you. And it hurt you last night. This defense is a huge problem for the Pacers. And when their defense isn't going and their offense locks up, it's a problem. When they can't push the ball up the floor, it's a problem. They're second in pace throughout this whole season. Now they're 9th in pace because the Bucks are slowing it down. If you slow it down the Pacers, you're going to win. That being said, next game, Rob Brown, take what you have and throw it and maybe a little bit of a parlay on Tyrese Maxey over points plus rebounds and assists. Take Miles Turner over points plus rebounds, and then take Pacers on a money line because the Pacers are going to win that game.
Which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you can do on Prize Picks, the nation's #1 fantasy daily sports app. Endorsements. Let's go over to the other side. Pelly swept, bounced in 4. Ugh, gross, ugly, hate it. Don't want to talk about it. I still believe, on one hand, Mario, if Zion's healthy, that team wins game 1. If they win game 1, completely different mentality in games 2, 3, 4. They probably snag another one. Worst case, maybe they lose this series like 4-3, maybe 4-2. But after Oklahoma City thumped them in game 2, I hate to say it, the way I phrased it was much like the Big Lebowski, hey, Chuck Barkley.
You're not wrong. You're just an
for saying my team quit, but my team quit. And at this point, am I losing my mind for saying, as far as I'm concerned, not getting swept the way you got swept is a reason to blow that thing up? Because the core group of guys you got in there right now, very talented and have zero heart. And I'm not an intangible guy, but no heart.
I think you're entering into the Washington Wizards territory with Beal and Wall, right? Where you have talent, but it's just not coming together. Like, they're young and they're good, but like everything's just not coming together. The pieces aren't coming together. And in today's NBA, it doesn't matter if you're on an extension, doesn't matter what contract you have, one phone call, and next thing you know, you're technically a free agent. You know, like you're technically, where do you want to go? I don't think I would say give it one more year. Give it one more dance. See what Zion is fully healthy coming into the playoffs. But something needs to be done with Brandon Ingram. Like, I'm sorry, but something needs to be done. Like, he's got to be gone. But on the flip side, though,
you can't have 8 points in that game, dude. That's pathetic.
You cannot have 8 points. And you can't look like you just don't want to be there.
Yeah, what he went first half, he was like 2 of 7 from the floor, 0 of 3 from 3, and then he came out with the exact same numbers in the second half. Like, for a dude that I have gone to my last breath to defend for the last 2 years as one of the best mid-range players in the association, without Z, that guy looked like a scrub, man.
Yeah. But also, like, Rob, I'm going to give you so much hope right here.
I don't want it.
You don't want it?
Hawkeye. I'm like Hawkeye right now.
But what about Booker or Mitchell?
You did this last week. You did this last week. You're not doing it.
But what about Mitchell?
I'm not letting you do it to me again. I'm not letting you do it to me again. It's not going to happen. We're going to run it back again. Z's going to play a whole season. He's going to get broken one day before the playoffs, and the same crap's going to happen. I'm over it. I'm as Lonzo pointed out to me last week, I am a captain on the seas of negativity. It is what it is.
Would you take Levine?
I'll take any of the 3 guys you just mentioned. None of them are going to come there. Why the hell would they? You just got swept. Who cares?
I mean, I would love if the Bulls traded Levine and you guys send over at least Herb Jones back or something.
No, you're not going to have it Herb for him. No, I love Herb. Herb's my special little boy. I mean, you're not taking
I love Herb. I love Herb so bad.
All right, couple more series. Cavs Magic, we had a 2-2 split, and all 4 games were blowouts. And then last night we had, I don't know if that game was good or if it was just the first game that was competitive in the series, but you texted me late last night and said whoever wins should be grateful they get a winner of this game coming up next. I don't know, man. Like, the Magic feel to me like if they develop a little bit more chemistry behind Paolo Banchero and somebody else helps, like that team could. I'm not saying they can beat anybody. I'm saying they can take you to an interesting limit.
Their size would piss you off. Like, there's things they would do that would like piss you off in the series. Where, like, why? Like, this is just so annoying. Like, why do we have to deal with this right now? It's like when a big top 5 college basketball teams doing their first 4 games of the year, and they play a small Division I school that has great 3-point shooting. They're like, this is just annoying. Like, why do we have to face this right now? I think that's what the Magic are. I think this is another team when you talk about free agent spots too. Like you mentioned, like Paolo Banchero is kind of like the guy. I believe it's 2 games ago. He had like 8 points, which wasn't great, but last night he was spectacular. That is a spot with him and Wagner and Suggs, who's becoming a very good defender. That's a free agency spot I'd watch out for. Like if I'm Paul George and I, did this whole dance once again to Clippers and let's say they get bounced in the first round, which I think they will, why not go to Orlando? Like that's an open riser team, and you just took them up a whole nother notch in a very weak East right now. I like what they do. I don't think they make it past the Cavs, but if they did make it past the Cavs, yeah, I think they probably go over a respectable gentleman sweep 4-1 against the Celtics. But they get
30-second answer because we're on the clock. Nuggets Lakers. Is this going? Or excuse me, Nuggets Timberwolves. Is this going 7?
7 and it's the Wolves.
7 and it's the Wolves.
7 and it's the Wolves.
Man, I think Denver's lulling y'all all to sleep. I think they lulled Zoe to sleep. I think they're lulling you to sleep. I don't think they've dropped off from last year. I think they just played with their food.
Okay. Well, hey, they can play with the food, and Timberwolves are going to throw it away. It's going to be like my mom. You going to play with your food? It's going to throw it in the way. So that's what we're going to do.
Have you listened to that Limp Bizkit album yet?
I have not. But what I'm about to do is right after this, I'm going to work out. And I'll turn it on when I work out.
Let me tell you, no. I was going to say, listen to it while you work out. The gains Gainsborough. I'm trying to get Mario to listen to some Limp Bizkit music because we're trying to catch him up with pop culture going back a decade
I
at
was
a
going
time.
to say, yeah, that's been I don't know.
It's been about 30 years since Limp Bizkit was its prime. Still
I'm
prime.
surprised you haven't tried to get him to listen to Taylor Swift's latest album.
You
I'm
already
all
have,
set.
right? Yeah,
I'm
you
all
already
set.
have. Mario's a big Tay-Tay guy, big Swiftie.
Well, then he's already up on pop culture. You just want him to be up on old pop culture.
Except Rocky Bonoba.
Did you listen to Kendrick's diss track? Let's see who's more up on pop culture.
I'm up on pop. I know it's Rocky Balboa. It's like
by the way, I feel sorry for Mario on Saturdays after what you just did to him earlier, and I mean, just nearly train wrecked the entire segment.
Rocky Balboa.
He did, but you could have.
You also double took. You just didn't have the stones to look in the face and go, "You should be better."
No. I didn't do it audibly. So yeah, the stream saw it, but I just I feel bad for you, Mario. Give him everything you can because he deserves it. And if we kept track of how many times he mispronounces something during a show and it was a drinking game, people would be drunk.
Balboa?
It's a fictional character. It's not like it's disrespectful. It's a fictional character that was made up.
Iconic American characters of all time. All time. Like if you called Arnold the Terminator. Like that's wrong. You know what it is.
Sylvester Stallone's a jockey. It don't matter.
You know he made a porn once?
Yeah, I don't know why you know that and why.
Mario knew it.
Okay.
Doesn't know Rocky's last name, but he knows Sylvester Stallone made a porn back in the day.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good for him.
Hayden S. Mario Heron from the BetQL Network, and NBA analyst and the executive producer of Bet for the Cycle, which airs this and every Saturday from noon to 4 on the BetQL Network. Appreciate you, big fella.
Appreciate it. It's all in the hips, fellas. I'll see you guys.
It's always something with this kid. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Nice job, young man. Bravo. Well done.
You guys.
We'll get you next week, partner. I'll see you Saturday.
Yeah, I'll see you.
All right, man.
Oh, wait, I'm out this Saturday, man.
Oh, you're out this Saturday. That's right. And also, FYI in advance, I'm out next Saturday because I got a wedding and I forgot to tell everybody, but heads up in advance.
Okay. Did you tell Andrew?
Yeah, I'll tell him today.
Okay, sounds good. All right.
Yeah. All right, bud.
Sure you will. I forgot, but yeah,
I literally just remembered.
Yeah.
Well, I was reminded of it yesterday. In fairness, I was.
And then you forgot it again.
I was told 4 months ago that we have a wedding, and that's too long to expect me to remember for.
That is true.
You can't give me something 4 months in advance. You know what I mean? He was the quarterback of the 1999 championship team.
But you're not here because your self-care happens out on the road, riding your motorcycle protected by Progressive. And the bugs you wipe from your headlights are all the nature you need. So if you ride, see if you can save with Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Get an online quote in as little as 3 minutes, all from the great indoors. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates not available in all states.
We're going abroad for the first time in years to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast. With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas? When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life.
Gracias.
At Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Take control of your listening experience with Rewind on the Odyssey app. Missed a jaw-dropping moment? No worries.
The Odyssey app makes it easy.
With Rewind, you can relive big moments from Rob Brown, Jim Rome, and more. Don't miss a beat. Just hit Rewind.
Where Mario messed up is he just said Rocky.
Should have just said Rocky.
Yeah, that
Then he train wrecked everything. I was going to play this audio yesterday. Didn't get a chance to do it. Colts general manager Chris Ballard. This dude, I have over this draft weekend became a fan. He was on McAfee's draft extravaganza on Thursday.
He seems to be an intense kind of guy.
Very intense. Very intense. It's always funny to me when a dude like that ends up doing an interview with somebody like McAfee, or yes, I am going to gloss myself, somebody like me, when it's just, I'm not letting down the loudness and the power of positivity because you're intense. And a guy like that loosens up. Ballard did. But the intensity ramped right back up. Chris Ballard was very, 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 very much not happy with the draft experts who try to, and I'm gonna play you some audio from here in a minute, and then we're gonna talk about it. But who denigrate the character of certain kids within the draft. Ballard was, without directly doing so, directly taking a shot at some of the folks, some of the media members that start taking shots. You will remember that the Colts drafted Adonai Mitchell, Texas wide receiver. Mitchell was expected to be a late first-round pick. He ended up going 52nd overall to the Indianapolis Colts. And there was a lot of discussion about Adonai Mitchell and was this a character issue? Was this a this issue? Was this a that issue? And Ballard did not take kindly to that. He didn't directly address it. But there was a column written by a cat by the name of Bob McGinn, and he was discussing the wide receivers and tight ends that were available in the draft. And McGinn shared some unflattering quotes from anonymous sources about Adonai Mitchell. The unnamed sources, unsighted sources, reportedly said that scouts had issues with Mitchell's performance in workouts and his willingness to be measured and timed. Per McGinn's report, scouts criticized the way that Mitchell, who is a type 1 diabetic, managed his condition at certain times. Mitchell quoted a scout as saying, quote, when his blood sugar's off, he's rude, he's abrasive, he doesn't pay attention in meetings. It's why you get really, really bleep character reports coming out of Georgia and Texas. But when his stuff is normal and they get him normal by lunchtime, he's out of practice, high energy, best practice player, loves football. Mitchell will go on to call Adonai Mitchell a, quote, a wild horse, end quote, a boom or bust, end quote, almost untouchable. Where Chris Ballard was not super happy with Bob McGinn and some of the cats like him, and he went off.
I read some of the that was said on TV. I mean, just the typical
excuse my language, our typical league, unnamed sources, bad interview. That's such bull. I mean, it's bull. Like, put your name on it. I'm tired of, we tear these young men down. These are 21, 22 young men. And if people out there can tell me they're perfect in their lives, it's crap. It's crap. This is a good kid. And, for those reports to come out, like, I said it last year, it's bull. I'm sorry. I apologize for the language. I don't, but I do.
Pulling the Mike Vrabel on us.
It's more sound like, I'm a man. I'm 40.
It sucks.
Sorry about my language.
Pulling the Mike Vrabel. I love it.
That's just a kid. You talk about me. I'm a man.
It's kind of a weird spot because this is another one of those spots that, yes, Rob's the boring guy. Nuance in a conversation is important. On one hand, yes, it absolutely does suck when a guy comes out and is willing to talk to a media member and go, I got this issue and this issue and this issue, but he won't sign his name to it. He's like, don't print my name, but here are all the issues I have. Like, if you have those issues and you're willing to talk to some random media dude about them, then say the name. If you have these issues, if you have these issues with this kid and you're not willing to sign your name on it, shut up. Just keep them to yourself. Take your little tablet, write down what your issues are, and in the war room, look across at your GM and your head coach and go, Coach, I'm not super comfortable with drafting this kid because X, Y, and Z. And if you're going to go to a guy like Bob McGinn and you're going to complain, you're going to put the issues you have out there, then be a man, be 40, and sign your name to it. Own it. On the flip side, to Chris Ballard, a guy who, again, I have become a fan of over the last couple of weeks. On the other side, I think it is also important to understand that these people and their entire job depends on two things. Number one, being right in their analysis of the players that they are analyzing. And number two, doing whatever they can to make sure that those players are draftable. If you want a kid to fall to your spot on the board, then a very good way to do it is to publicly air out concerns, whether they are real or not, whether they are valid or not, and get those guys to have kind of a shadow cast on them to other teams that might otherwise be interested. If I know a kid's got a top 15 draft potential and I'm drafting at number 20, you can't grab a mic and go, hey, everybody else, I would really appreciate it if y'all wouldn't draft this guy so that he would fall down to us at 20. You can't do that. You really only have one method of doing that, which is to put out there that there's this issue with that kid and hope that other teams bite on that. Other teams go, well, we didn't really scout Adney Mitchell as closely as we probably should have. And since we didn't, we're going to take this as a potential threat. We're going to take this as a potential issue, as a potential problem for this kid. And if we're going to take this as a potential problem for this kid, then we're going to pass. It's not worth it. If you got a kid who has a medical condition that causes these wild personality swings where half the time he's a great football player and a great worker, and the other half the time he's a monster, he's a terror to work with, I don't want that guy in the locker room. I don't want a guy that half the time I've got to coddle and baby him. I don't want a guy that I got to make sure that his blood sugar's right every day when there are other guys on the board that have the same level of talent and not those issues. It is ugly. It is gross. It is a disgusting practice. And also, winning kind of means the difference between success and failure for the finances of your club. When your team is bad, when they're, sorry, Brandon, love you, dog, the Atlanta Falcons, and they're drawing 17,000 people on a Sunday afternoon, your team stinks, and the people within it ain't making that money. So if you can throw up an anonymous smoke screen And you can utilize that anonymous smokescreen to try to manipulate a kid like Adonai Mitchell falling down to where you are in the draft selection order. You're going to do it. That's just a byproduct, like it or not. That is a byproduct of the, and I'm not saying this in a negative light, though it's going to be painted like I am by some people. No, not you, listeners in general. That is the byproduct of the American attitude that winning means more than literally everything else. Nothing matters but the dub.
When you said, no, not you, you absolutely meant me.
Okay, I kind of meant you a little bit.
Winning.
This is a byproduct of the rings matter more than anything else mentality. When you have the mentality of Dan Marino's not as good as Trent Dilfer because he didn't win a ring, the end result is you have people playing the game like this, and it turns into an ugly, mud-throwing type of competition. That's what this is a direct result of. So I appreciate Chris Ballard being willing to go off on that NSFW rant, dropping bleep bombs on everybody up in here for kicking the legs out from under a kid and costing him, let's be honest, potentially millions of dollars. But on the flip side, do you want to win and get the best players in your program, or do you not? And this is the only way to control this one aspect of building an NFL roster. Let's take a break. Back after this to wrap this show up on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Okay, the Up at 245 has officially kicked in.
I mean no disrespect, punk. What are you doing?
I hurt my shoulder last night.
Okay, because it's weird because the wrestler formerly known as Cesaro, him doing a workout just showed up when you started doing that. It was weird. It's just like you guys were synchronized.
Me and the Swiss Superman,
Yeah.
Claudio Castagnoli.
Castagnoli.
Download the Odyssey app and search the Fan Upstate and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Tony Dozeri, and that's your Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
This is arguably the best time of the year. Somebody just said, WWF Fox sent out a tweet that said, explain Drake versus Kendrick Lamar in WWE terms. And the top answer right now is Drake is like Linda McMahon. People will only remember what he did after getting out of the wheelchair, but what he did in it was much better. Kendrick is like Sean Spears. Could have been great, but got in the game 20 years too late. Their feud is like AEW because nobody cares. That's phenomenal.
Speaking of AEW, tonight somebody else is running the company.
Somebody else is running the company?
Yeah, because Tony can't be there because he's hurt.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, well, the rumor is there's a return tonight, and that person will be running it. Kenny Omega. So from the storyline, sounds interesting. And yeah.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time. There's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you need bold banners to boost your business,
I kind of want to now go watch the RG3 Keon Coleman interview.
Oh, I didn't know they did one.
Yeah, it's been all over my feed today. And just so I can pause in various places and see if I can zoom in and see who all RG3 has in his pop wall and Keon Coleman. I mean, I'm seeing it now. I see Piccolo and I see Vegeta. Those are unboxed. So I want to see who he has boxed. And I can do that while listening to Keon Coleman talk.
I was in the Circle K by my house in Taylor's the other day. And the Circle K has an entire stand that is probably 5x5 of Funko Pops. And there were some cool ones, like a couple of WWE ones, a couple of House of the Dragon ones, a couple of Game of Thrones ones.
By the way, new Funko Pop video game is coming out. The trailer just dropped yesterday, and it looks very interesting. There's a guy trying to take over by absorbing pops. Let's see, Scott Pilgrim, I think Jurassic Park, a bunch of other, all those movies are in there.
Ready Player
Yeah,
One match.
yeah.
I like it. I have something I so tragically want to bring up on the radio right now, but I think it's 97.5% sure it's on Twitter Trending Topics. 98% sure it's on Twitter Trending Topics. So I kind of can't.
I got 4. If you want to cancel out 1, that's fine. We usually only get to 3.
Let's see.
And I can find something else if I have to.
X-Men 97.
It's not on there.
Really?
Because I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't watched it either. However, it was just spoiled for me, and I'm not going to bring it up, but the list of cameos.
This is the final episode, right? I think of the season.
I thought there was one more. I thought,
There
it was
might be.
I thought it was a 2-episode finale.
Oh, okay. All right. I am caught up. So,
Yeah, so am I, till this week. So
But
I'm
I always forget when it drops. If
Yeah.
it dropped yesterday or
I think
today.
it dropped last night overnight. Apparently, there is. I don't want to give it away, but it was spoiled for me on Twitter earlier. Apparently, though, there is a cameo that introduces the possibility of another classic Marvel animated series making its debut down the line. A character from that series made a cameo in X-Men 97, which the only reason I bring up is because y'all, if you are in any way an X-Men fan or a Marvel fan, this show is fantastic. It's fantastic.
I thought it had a slow start, but after I think like episode 3, it picked up and hasn't stopped.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah. So I thought for sure someone wasn't really dead. I'm still holding out hope, but
No one more than me, I promise. But it's been phenomenal, man.
although a ticked off Rogue is pretty
So good.
Yeah.
Rogue going full Omega level threat has been great.
And what she did to Captain America, you just have to watch.
It's so good. It's so good. All right. Got a few more things that I'd like to get into before we get up out of here for the day. If you have not yet watched X-Men 97 and you are in any way a comic book fan, go watch it.
Or you watched the original series as a kid. This is a continuation of that. So you should check it out.
It very much is. All right. So there is an article up on yahoosports.com that was put together by, USA Today. It's on yahoosports.com, but it was posted by Brent Schrodenboer from USA Today. The article is titled, Coach Deion Sanders, Colorado illuminate the pros and cons of wide open transfer portal. And he goes through, talks about the turnover at Colorado. Colorado has had 33 players transfer out and 31 players transfer in. They highlight this story of running back Dylan Edwards. Edwards was praised on April 18th by Deion Sanders as being a, quote, tremendous asset to the game. That came one day after running back Alton McCaskill, a transfer from Houston, said he was leaving Colorado for his third school since 2022. Then, on April 22nd, Ohio State running back Dallin Hayden announced he was transferring into Boulder to compete with Edwards for playing time. The very next day, on April 23rd, Edwards jumped into the portal. He said, nope, not competing. Nope. It was going to be my job, or it's not. I'll go someone where it is my job. He was joined in the portal by Syvion Wilkerson, another running back who had transferred from Jackson State, Deion's old school. to go play for Coach Prime in Boulder. Offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur said on April 25th, right before their spring game, quote, "We had one healthy running back for yesterday's practice." Shurmur did add another running back a day later when Miami of Ohio running back Rashad almost committed to Colorado, his third school since 2022, but he doesn't arrive until later this year. So Colorado had to move a cornerback to running back for their annual spring game this past Saturday. Deion Sanders has talked about there being a, quote, "gallop to the portal," end quote. He said, quote, "I just don't want them to die along with." How many's in the portal? 3,500 young men. That's my problem with people who just jumped into the portal. Just have a plan, end quote. And I am and have been, although it has been tested a number of times, I am a Deion fan, okay? I am. I don't think he's going to be a very good coach at the Power 5 level. I don't think he's an X's and O's guy. I don't think he's a great coach. I think he's a great recruiter. I think he's a great celebrity. I think he uses his celebrity to boost the image of that and any program that he ends up at to a ridiculously high level just by showing up, just by putting on the cowboy hat and the gold sunglasses, which, yes, I did buy a pair because I have been #influenced. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great recruiter. I think he's a great celebrity. I do not think that he's a great coach. And I think that got proven this past season. But it goes on, we go down, we move down the article, and later on, well, by the way, Deion's daughter transferred out of Colorado because she got 11 minutes of PT last season, and she thought she was worth more. She thought she could get more playing time. She thought she could get more NIL money elsewhere. She has a brand that includes nearly 500,000 followers across social media, so she is taking her talents to ? Fill in the blank. There's also, later on in this article, the story about a couple of Colorado football players who left Colorado and lost a full semester's worth of credits when they did. Now, I don't know what those courses were. I don't know the reason for the losing of the credits. I don't know if they were not accepted elsewhere or if they were classes that only Colorado offered or what. But the author of this article laments the fact that kids are losing their credits when they transfer out of a school. And let me once again pivot back to something that I said when the portal in its very first iteration opened up. College athletes are about to learn that when you are given the opportunity to make adult decisions about your life, those decisions are often followed by adult consequences. This is why I have said in the past that if a kid hits the portal and he enters that portal along with 3,500 other football players, and oh, by the way, scholarships are also, and this is true, still given out to high school football players who are entering the college football ranks.
Duh.
There are only so many scholarships to go around. And so for a lot of you kids, you're going to hit the portal looking for greener pastures. And you're going to go out there and you're going to go search around. And what you are going to find is that greener pasture that you were searching for, it's already full of cows, my man.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
And unfortunately for you, there's not room. But guess what? That is an adult consequence.
Yeah, there was room where you were.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, maybe because remember, Deion showed up in Boulder, looked half that team in the face and said, y'all need to go and get into the portal. We ain't got room for you here. I'm bringing my own luggage, and it's Louis. Remember that quote? He rolled up into Colorado's press conference for the first time, literally dragging a Louis Vuitton suitcase and was like, y'all got to go. Y'all got to hit the portal. Y'all ain't welcome here. And that is part of why I have said I have no sympathy for coaches with all this. None at all. Yeah, your job got tougher, but let's be honest, the other direction works too. And I got no doubt in my brain that Deion Sanders isn't the only coach who is forced a kid into the portal or kids into the portal. Like I think we all have this fun little imaginary world where every coach is doing right by his guys. Every coach is doing the best he can for his players. The reality is, nah, bro, not at all. I promise you, coaches, when they get that nice X $1 million paycheck at the end of every year, got no problem looking at a 20-year-old kid and going, you don't help me win, get out so I can bring someone else who does in. And maybe not saying it directly, but like putting the screws to that kid.
It's no different than being at a place and seeing other people move ahead of you and getting passed over for things that you think you deserve.
Absolutely.
And then you have to decide, do I stay here or do I go to another job?
Absolutely. And
where I can also be passed over and all that sort of thing.
Hell, for some people, it's, do I stay here? I may not get another job.
Right.
I may have to go into
Right.
a completely different field of study or a completely different career field, right? When I was going to, a number of years ago, leave talk radio because I just had enough. I had enough kicking around. I had had enough of a guy that went to prison for 5 years coming back and getting my job back. I had had enough of getting paid $7.50 an hour to host for 10 hours split into 2 5-hour shifts that were 8 hours apart from each other. I had had enough and I was going to bounce, and I had to make the decision. Do I bounce from this gig knowing full well how hard it is to get one and knowing that I may not get another one? Or do I sit here and put up with all this crap and continue to grind and continue to be loyal knowing this all sucks and it's unjustifiable, except for if I leave, they'll have another cat in here in 30 minutes. I don't know. But the point here is, just like with the coaches, adult choices for these players means adult responsibilities. If you want to leave and you lose your credits, sucks to be you.
I mean, I could have interrupted you, but I was, I was trying to be nice near the end of the show. I don't know why.
Nice. You're a sweetheart.
Yeah, that's me. All right. The first thing that's Xing is SpongeBob SquarePants.
I got absolutely nothing. I got nothing at all.
This is the 25th anniversary of SpongeBob's first airing.
Cool. Does anybody else's knee hurt? Does anybody else's back suddenly hurt for no reason? I feel like that sentence gave me gray hair.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I remember when my kids watched it when they were kids. All right, the next thing.
Your kids, by the way, for those who don't know, ain't kids no mas.
No, they're not.
Grown asshole people now.
Yeah. That's absolutely they are. The next thing that's trending is
Beavis and Butthead.
And do you know why?
I don't know why. I know there are new episodes or were some new episodes that came out. I watched one the other day where a therapist put Butthead on medication and he turned into a normal dude and Beavis was not. And it was one of the most like mildly uncomfortable things because Beavis was trying his best to get Butthead to be Butthead. And without Butthead, there's no Beavis. And without Beavis, there's no Butthead. That show's still good.
All right.
It's
So
still good.
The movie The Fall Guy, which comes out this weekend, starring Ryan Gosling, he showed up with Mikey Day to the red carpet dressed as Beavis and Butthead.
I freaking love it. If you did not see the skit those two clowns did on SNL the other day, it's worth the watch. It's worth the watch. And also you'll recognize Keenan from Keenan and Kel, who's still around.
Yeah.
And
Who's
very
been
funny,
on,
by the
been
way.
on Saturday Night Live forever. All right. The next thing is Uncle Howdy.
There were more
Last night.
messages last night.
They're getting more frequent. That means it's coming soon.
You think it happens during Backlash?
Maybe. I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that. I don't know. I don't know if they'll go all the way to
I'm gonna be
Paris to
real.
do that.
Backlash looks like a very average card, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I'm
Very
thinking
average
more
card.
maybe Raw. All right. And finally, the last thing that's trending is Tiffany Stratton.
Somebody have a Tiffany epiphany?
They did, and it's her birthday.
Tiffany Stratton is the future. of
How
women's
old
wrestling.
is she?
27.
No, she's 25.
Okay. She is, and this is true, very pretty.
She's all right.
Stop it.
She's all right.
Stop it.
She's all right.
Somebody Google Tiffany Stratton and text Lonzo with "she's all right."
She's all
Don't
right.
do it on your work computer.
Yeah. There are enhancements. That's all I'm saying.
See y'all tomorrow for
Wait a
the
minute.
Thursday edition.
Happy birthday, Nolan.
Happy birthday, Nolan. Welcome to your 30s, bud. It's all downhill from here. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joins us tomorrow. Fight Club with the great one Lonzo tomorrow as well. We'll see you back here tomorrow to do it all over again, but better on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate later. Yeah!
This is actually I noticed a shorter break. We could have went a little bit longer, but I won't have enough time to play one of our promos during this show.
I like playing our promos.
Just to tick somebody off.
Like it. Dudes, dudettes, amigos, amigas. I have been up since 2:45 this morning. I am going to go do the very limited amount of work that I am capable of doing before I go home and take a nap and wake up and do more work later, because that's just my life now. You're all amazing people. I heart you all very so much. Have a lovely rest of your day. Tell your friends about us. Help us grow the show, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
I don't hurt you.
Hey, you do this one.
I can't.
You can do this one. There you go. I'll just push them together. There it is. Lonzo Hard Hands. Yay. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.